Yeah, what's up? This is James,
What up?
and you are live on the I Just Think Different Podcast, episode 6. This is Fathers in America, part 2, y'all. And it's Veterans Day. So shout out to all the veterans out there who put their life on the line to keep us safe. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
All right, y'all. So what I'm gonna do now is just go around the room. We go start from the top and then work to the right. So to the top of me, we could just go around the room, everybody introduce themselves, and then after that, I'm gonna ask a question, and we just go kick it off.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, Devon, go ahead. That's you.
Yep. Hey, how you doing, Devon Mitchell? You guys,
All right.
you fine?
All right. I'm Tremaine Fielder.
What's up? I'm Earl Wellborn.
Deshaun McLeod, father of one.
What's up? Nate Reed, father of one.
What's going on, everybody? Nate Nasser, out of Detroit, Michigan, father of 5.
Cool. We got
What's going on, y'all? I'm Chris, father of one. How y'all doing, man?
doing.
Okay.
Good. And then we got D'Angelo.
Second, bro.
All right. So I know it might be a little lag in here. I mean, this is a stream, you know, sometimes it operates like that, but we go work with the best we got. So right now, I'm gonna ask the question to all of you fathers out there. What does it mean to be a father in America? And Vaughn, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay. I'm being a father of America. I think it depends on the challenges you're dealing with today. I think being a father in America is very important, but there's a lot of things around us that affect, being a father. Well, you have to take in consideration of being a father today. Like I got 2 teenage boys, young men, and like I was explaining to you earlier, I think it's very important for me. I'm up here in Massachusetts, so though we don't have all the police killings and all that stuff, every time we have the gang stuff, and every time my boys leave the house, I think about that type of stuff. So that's what worries me, the things that can happen in our environment today,
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot going on. Didn't realize there was that much going on in Boston like that. Or the Boston area.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on up here, racism and different things like that,
Definitely. All right, Tremaine.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's being from Flint, man. It's definitely being about being a big role model, somebody your kids can look up to, man. Not just your kids, but just kids in the community, man. Just somebody that people can just really look up to, man. Somebody people can come talk to and be able to, vent to. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely, man. What we got? Earl, go ahead. Oh yeah. You muted.
Really.
Here you go. Nate, NASA, go ahead.
Yeah, man. To me, being a father in America, it's scary, man. Like, with everything that's going on, as far as the police killings, and teaching not only your sons but your daughters how to conduct themselves when they encounter police officers, and also each other. You know what I'm saying? Um, Teaching them about ego and how to control your emotions and things like that. So, and like my man said, being a role model for other kids, not just yours.
Definitely. Nate
My
too.
bad, I got kicked out.
All right, it's all good. Where'd I leave off at, Jane?
I think like the gentleman has said so far, like it takes a lot of emphasis and a lot more focus, I think, than some people may realize to be a father in America. Right now, it's a particularly tense time in America, and all that tension kind of it translates to everything, and kids feel it, and they ask questions, they ask the big questions, and I think our roles as fathers is to be there to answer those questions for them. If we don't know the answer, then at least point them in the direction that our morals and our beliefs that we've held to and that have made us successful. We kind of stick to those and pass those along. That's what being a father is all about, in my mind, at least. And that kind of translates to no matter if the world's going pretty smoothly or whether it's rough and choppy. I mean, that's just what we do as men. So, yeah.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what everyone else said, it's it's definitely an honor being a father. These are rough times that we're going through. It's important to set that example for your sons, for your kids in general. And the most important thing also is communication. You definitely want to make sure you are explaining the situations that we're going through to your child, especially at this time that we're going through in America. Sitting down having a talk with them is everything. Because like at the end of the day, you want them to feel comfortable, with you explaining the issues, and when they have to go through, if they have to go through something, it's important for them to know what's right and what's wrong. But yeah, I just feel like those are the two main factors of communication and setting that example. Being a role model. That's our job. Like that's what we're here for. As parents in general.
Yeah. All right, Earl, I'm gonna come back to you, but let me get you unmuted first. No, you got to unmute you. No.
I think
So
everybody on mute, man.
yeah, go back to the next one. So, all right, so D'Angelo, let me roll with you. These bikes say
All
mute.
right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Can you? All right. My man, like all the gentlemen said, it is very important. Uh, just for our kids be.
No, broke out.
Yeah, kind of breaking up.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot of lag.
Yeah, I don't know, something going on with my connection. I don't know what it is, but can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's important to be that sounding board for our kids and other kids in the community who don't have, the resources and the things that others may have. Just being accessible and available to our young kids in the community, so they can have something to look up to. Something to look up to. That's why I feel it's important to get up and every day go out here in this society and what's going on, so my kids can see dad's getting up and making it happen regardless. I mean, I feel that that's very important, especially for our African American kids to see that, to definitely see that.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that too. All right, Deshaun.
What's going
What's up?
on, bro? Let's see. There's a lot that comes along with that, honestly, because the first thing that I think about really is not being the trauma that was passed to me to my child. It's pretty much cutting the head off that snake. They're really breaking down a thought perception or the perception of what it is to be a black man in America, to really kind of understand how everyone else looks at us. And it kind of gave me that what helps push me in the right direction a lot of times, because I look at everybody's looking at the effect, but nobody's looking at the cause. So the main thing I look at are the things that I missed out on, the things that I watched my peers miss out on. And those are the things I really focused on, because everyone knows what it is to be an active father. We know what that looks like. We all know what that feels like, or we even have an idea of what it feels like. And really, it's just, like I said, to make sure I didn't pass that experience on to my child, and regardless of anything, because a lot of things are against us uh, as fathers, and that's just off rip. You know, it doesn't matter if you have ill intent or not, and it's just really never being a person that they cast you to be, and that's on either side. Like, as long as you stay well and you maintain a relationship with your child, you don't have to worry about what others say about you, because you led with that. So lead with love, really, man. It's just not transferring the trauma. Um, that's what I think about when it comes down to being a black man in America, or black father in America.
When it comes to that trauma, that's something that it seems like we deal a lot with, man. I feel like trauma is the main core root of the weapons in your soul. And as men, we hold on to a lot of that. But
Mm-hmm.
also as men, we looked at as that prime leading example that people want to follow. So if we traumatize and we got things that's going on with us, we taking those actions out on, I don't know, let's say our baby mama or wife or even kids or the next door neighbor or whoever. When a young child is seeing that, a young person is seeing that, that holds thoughts in their brain similar to the same trauma that we went through, that we know we got things that hold true to us. So it's very important, again, not to allow that trauma to, move on to a child. You know what I mean? But it's hard because we living in these times right now where everything is just out there, man. You know what it is.
Yeah.
And that's
James, I
true.
think I'm good now, man. I'll give you my little spiel.
All right, go ahead.
Cool. To me, being a father is just about love, man. I mean, just that love, that unconditional love that you can give your child. I mean, regardless of the climate, and that obviously is a variable, the climate in the world, the climate in your own home, the climate between you and each one of your children or your child. It's just that love that you give them that they can continue to passed down from generation to generation. So that would be my definition of a father. Just love, that strong, sometimes tough, unconditional love.
Yeah. Do you feel that that love that you've given and asking for was lacked in the household that you was raised in and brought up in?
No, and that's actually what made me the father that I am now, is because my dad was there, from day one, and I feel blessed to say that. He raised my brother and I, just to be strong black men. He let us know what it was to be a black man in America and to be a man, period. So without that, man, I mean, I have a lot of friends that didn't grow up with a father, and they always tell me how fortunate I am to have had my dad in my life. So I never really experienced anything, traumatic to where I'm not able to foster, my children with the same love that my dad gave me, and I'm thankful and blessed for that.
Oh, yeah, nice. Nate, man, let me ask you something. Nate NASA, let me ask you something. You got 5 kids, and with those 5 kids, how many are male, female?
Oh yeah, I had 3 boys, 2 girls.
All
Yeah.
right, with the girls, specifically with the girls, how old are the girls?
One's 16 and one is 5.
Great. So 16 and 5, and you live in Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is it raising a 16-year-old female and a 5-year-old female in Detroit at these particular times versus raising the boys? Or is it equal?
I mean, as far as with my 16-year-old daughter, it's been it's been a journey because you know, females are wired different anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like being that she's a daddy's girl. You know what I'm saying? We real close, got a good relationship. But it's just like I know a lot of stuff that she tell me she not gonna tell her mom. So sometimes I have to try to, you know, instead of just trying to be that dad that's too much of a friend, you know what I'm saying? I had to try to show that.
Oh man.
You can still also let her know she can talk to me about anything. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, in this day and age, it's different from when we.
Connection issue. Oh man. Nay one, I'll ask you, Mr. Vet. So, you know, how is it being in the you know, in the armed services, you know, raising a child?
Well, I think in general, you know, it gives you an opportunity for you and your child to really make the most of the time that you do have. Not all the time that I get to spend with them is it's not. I know it's not always there on a day-to-day basis. There's times where I go overseas. There's times where, you know, we get sent on orders and I can't spend as much time with them as I wanted to. But you make the most of it, really, and really helps you prioritize what lessons you want to try to convey. So, yeah.
Oh man. We everywhere with it. We got somebody all in there. But I definitely feel that, man. Well, this is a real live podcast, man. Strong brothers up here. Man, y'all got all these kids. So I want to know personally, when y'all ran into their baby mom to y'all child's mom, were you guys looking at the mom like, this is something I want to spend the rest of my life with, or this is just something I want to just smash and go? Yeah. Go ahead, they child. Go ahead and roll it fifth. Are you ready?
I go ahead and jump out the
Real
window
question.
first. When I first met her, it really it was like on that kickback. You know how you go and you the wingman type, and you know, it was just an interest thing at first, and then at one point as time went on, you know, just kind of kicking this in where it went, and then it got to a point that where I asked a question about marriage one day, just to see where her head was, and I'm like, all right, I'm starting to get these feelings for you, so I don't want to play with you. So I want to put it out there that, you know, I'm thinking about a future with you. So I asked her, like, how you feel about marriage? And she's like, whoa, I don't know if I ever want to get married. So I'm like, right away, antennas go up. You know what I mean? That's a sign, man. You don't really find too many women, especially single black women, and they get that opportunity, you know, for someone in companionship. And I'm not saying she should have settled for me, but just the fact that it was just like a red flag for her or highly alarming. She really wasn't feeling it, and then over time that really altered how I approached the relationship and how I looked at it. Because at this point, it's like carrying on for consistently at this rate, if that's not even a goal for you at all.
So here's the thing: if uh, if that was a situation, and let's say women are looking at the men to be the powerful, stand up, to dominate, and to show me, why was it the opportunity took to be like, you know what? I know you may feel like that, but I know what I want. So I'm gonna show you, you know what I'm saying, what this can be and what this gonna be.
The problem with that was she had a point of reference. So the point of reference was what she was raised around. So at that point, when it was already known, and that's what she referenced, you know what I'm saying, she made a direct reference to that. That's just one of those things where I'm like, that's a fight and that's a lifelong dealing of I ain't gonna call it traumas, but situations and experiences that I just really wasn't gonna strap myself into. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point to where it was so deeply ingrained that this is more or less about This is woven into the fabric of your being. This is not an ideal. This is not something that I can change for you, nor is it something that I want to. Because you lose a lot of yourself when you go through situations like that. So that's really the reason why, it's kind of like you ease up on that a little bit. Like there's nothing I can do if your experiences with love have been less than desirable. Because it was the total opposite for me and my family and the marriages. Thank God, if there were marriages or struggles in marriages in my family's homes growing up, they didn't spill outside of their homes. So I couldn't relate to that.
Okay. Anyone else care to go up?
Yeah, I'll go. I got 3 kids, mothers, and I say with my first one, man, I feel like I was just too young for that situation. You know what I'm saying? I had my first son when I was 19, and I didn't have no examples of what a man was supposed to be, or I grew up without a dad. My mom died when I was 7, so I was raised pretty much by the system and foster care and things like that. So I didn't really have them examples, but I didn't know that women required a certain amount of time, things like that, and so I was a little bit immature. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't all her. You know what I mean? And when I finally did start becoming into my adulthood, I just realized that wasn't the person. It wasn't nothing wrong with her, like she was a bad person or nothing, but that's just not who I wanted to be with. When I felt like I outgrew her. You know what I'm saying, in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Because she wanted to settle for certain things I didn't want to settle for. You know what I'm saying? Like wanting to move out of the neighborhood, and I wanted to move to the suburbs and things like that. And it's just stuff that I didn't want to settle for. You know what I'm saying? So we just outgrew each other, I guess. You know what I'm saying? In that situation. As far as my second kid's mom, when I met her, it was more so more attraction than anything. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't no substance on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I guess that we, once we got in the relationship, it was already a baby involved. You know what I'm saying? So, we tried to make it work, but you got 2 kids that really don't know nothing about love or life. You know what I'm saying? So I say we kind of outgrew each other too. You know what I mean? My daughter's mom, it was just more so, by that time, I'm at a point of maturity, and I probably was more mature than she was. You know what I'm saying? There was stuff that my tolerance, I've gotten to an age and a point in my life, certain things I just won't tolerate.
So over the time, you basically showing how you developed and grew as a man, but still was running into walls of your own what I want type of thing. But as you said with the first one, you tried to do a little something, but they just wasn't there all the way with it. So it wasn't like you wasn't trying to be around. It was just that we just wasn't on the same page. So I moved on to something else, and I thought this was gonna be a different page, but we wasn't even in the library together. So
Right.
now you said, you know what, I make my own books, and y'all ain't no authors on it. You know what I'm saying? I create who go in here. So, that's how I'm just letting it from now on. So you take care of all of your kids on your own.
Mm-hmm. Well, 2 of my kids live with me. My boys, 2 of my oldest boys, they've been with me for about 10, 11 years now. And then the other 3, they like with their moms, but you know what I'm saying? I see them down there every day. You know what I'm saying? So, I've been in their lives since they've been here. You know what I mean? That's one thing. No matter what me and their mothers go through, it's no absence. You know what I'm saying? They used to seeing me. I'm used to seeing them. We actually all live 10 minutes away from each other.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it was at a point, and they good women, good mothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was times where I'd be out of town and they had to drop the kids off to each other, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know each other, they got each other's numbers and all that. You know what I'm saying? It ain't perfect, but it worked for us.
All right. Anybody else care to go?
Yeah, I'm muted, man. I'm muted, man. I think we muted though.
Go ahead, Jermaine. Nope, muted again. Man, these technical issues, man, with the stream is crazy. You realize you could run into all these situations.
All right.
So, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah. I guess I could say, like I said, I got into the situation when I was 22 when I had my son. So a lot of the stuff had to do with immaturity, you know, a little bit of spitefulness. I'm not gonna play the victim, so you know a lot of it was on both parts. It was more of a I think it was more of a growth thing for me. In the beginning, it was, you know, everything was going well, and then, you know, over time, you know, you just start to grow apart, and then unfortunately, it's nothing you can really control when certain things happen. Like I said, I have one 10-year-old, so I can't speak on Nate's situation. He's holding it down like crazy, but
Yeah.
but yeah, over time, you just learn to grow from things, and once you actually figure out that things aren't going the way it's supposed to go, you start to mature, and like you were saying earlier, you don't really want your child to start to see things like that's interfering with the family, like and that's things in general. Sometimes one parent could do something to make the other person upset, and those are things as men that we got to be able to control, because we supposed to be the foundation, so I went through a lot of the growing pains for real.
Yeah.
But now, like, we on like a whole different level. Like, everything is cool, we able to talk, we able to communicate without a problem. It was just some things I had to learn to grow, to grow up as a man for real. And that's it started with me being younger, but like, as time went on, I eventually got everything together, and was able to learn techniques to try to smooth everything up. That's all.
Yeah. All right, Earl, I'm gonna hand it off to you.
Actually, the first time I met my kid's mom, I knew I was going to marry her. My oldest kids, I just knew that the first time.
Love at
Yeah, I
first
said
sight.
we're going to get married. We grew apart. We had a difference in philosophical differences. We, just to piggyback what another brother said, we kind of just grew apart. But I am thankful because we do communicate well for the kids. We were only married. We dated for 6 years. We were only married 1 year, and that was that. So, and it hasn't always been great between her and I. I mean, I literally had to fight in court for joint custody of my kids. But after all that, I mean, now we communicate. Hey, kids is doing all right. We, one of the kids needs to, be somewhere. We make sure that we communicate, get them where they need to be. Now, most recently, I just had a son on Monday, and thank you. And her and I are totally different wavelength. I never expected this to be where it is now when her and I first met. And sometimes, you may think you have a plan, but God got another plan for you. So, just looking at my son that was just born and looking at her when she's giving birth, I'm like, man, God really does work in his own way. And that's really what, both of these situations have come to teach me, is that, if you want to manifest something, it can manifest, if you work towards it, but it might not work out the way that you think is going to work out. And then something that would be totally unexpected that you never would have thought would come to fruition might actually be one of your biggest blessings. So I'm thankful for both of them and for the kids, and just being able to communicate in a healthy relationship so that we can foster their growth and development and have them be, the best that they can be.
That's real good, man. And you also got 2 kids born on the same day.
Yeah, that's 15 years apart. That's crazy. My son, he wasn't too excited about that. We did what we could, but on Sunday, my girl called. I'm on my way to the house. My son was at my house, and she's like, my water broke, and I'm like, oh Lord. So Monday came around, and they're like, hey, he's coming today. So I had to tell my son, I'm like, look, you're gonna have a birthday twin. But you know what? It could be a blessing because he's always going to look up to you as his older brother. But man, I could not believe that. What are the odds? 364-1. So yeah, it was crazy, man. And that's just another sign that the Lord works in His way, because we never would have thought He would come the same day as my son, but He did, and He's here. So definitely crazy.
Definitely a blessing right there, D'Angelo. I'm gonna kick it off to you.
Well, my oldest son is 11. So the first situation is kind of similar, immature, not really ready for, the real commitment and things like that. So no, in actuality, I didn't think it was going to be marriage. But with my wife, who I met like 4 years after that, I kind of had a feeling that it was going to be for real with her, just because I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted, you know what I mean? And I was looking for somebody who I thought was ready for that same situation. So when I grew and matured, I guess you could say it made the situation a lot easier, because it's like I'm bumping into somebody who I feel like, all right, if we're not on the same page, like somebody else said, we're not going to waste each other's time. You know what I mean? What's the point of wasting each other's time? But my oldest son, he lives with us. I've had him since he was probably since he started school. He's been living with me. So at this point now with his mom, there's no issues. We're to the point where we communicate when it's in the interest of the child, and that's about it.
Oh, that's that's good, man. That's good. You hung up in there.
Yeah, I hung in there.
It's a lot of escape, man. It's you go in for a second thinking it's gonna work, and you be like, shut it down. Let me get out of here. I want to deal with this out. Oh, like, no, the bomb, man. I'm coming at you, man. Go ahead.
I mean, I think definitely one of the brothers. I'm not familiar with who said it, but when you bring trauma into stuff, I definitely was thinking about marriage. I was young, and there was a lot of foolishness going on. Now I have my oldest child is 25, and I have, like I said, I didn't have enough room to put them all down on this picture. But I have 2 boys that I'm dealing with that live with me. Actually, I'm raising 4 of the kids by my alone. My daughter just recently graduated from college. She down in Atlanta now working. I thought about the marriage at first, but it was a lot of, now that I know where I'm at right now, I realized there was a lot of trauma, stuff that I didn't deal with in my own life. She had her own issues. We brought that together, and it was a big mess. And I'm still doing work right now on myself, just looking at my inner self and understanding, in life, because my father wasn't there, in a unique situation where I come from a home with a single mom, strong Black woman. And me and my brother, when we moved up to Mass from Hartford, Connecticut, what we had to do is we had to become young men fathers. She worked at night and all that. We had to, hold the house down, 5 and 6 years old. So therefore we had our own, dealing with that and dealing with other things. We had our own childhood traumas. And I think it's important, once you don't address those things, you bring that into any relationship, you know. So I brought a lot of that stuff into relationships and not having a father there. But I thank God that I was able to get a situation now, like I was explaining to you earlier. My so I have 3 different baby moms as well, and all together 7 kids, 5 girls, 2 boys. And this is the first time this year, thank God, that they all got together, and now they all know each other. You know what I mean? And I actually this Thanksgiving have them all together, and I cook on my own. I'm home alone, you know. I just raise the kids, and it's actually enjoyable because you see the different emotions these kids have, and you know they come from different moms and everything. But they're together, and they communicate a lot on their own, you know. And it was just a beautiful thing. I never thought it could happen, but it happened, and I look at it as a blessing, really, a blessing.
So what I'm hearing that's similar in all these stories is actually men have a lot of trauma in their lives and they never really dealt with it. And it seems like the way to deal with it is to go to escape, to either try to smash something or smash somebody up. You know, so I'm either getting into violence or I'm either, you know, sitting over here with some female, you know, and trying to do something. And that's all in a young person's mind. But then when we get older, you look back and realize, like, what was I doing that wasn't necessary? So how do we prevent that from moving forward? Because it's a lot of trauma that we hold down. And again, we didn't learn till we got older, right? So how does it stop from the older and you can chop it down to the young so the young don't have to go through the same similar things that you guys experienced as you know, growing up?
Well, kick it, fellas. Y'all good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I feel like with my boys, since I've had them, I always try to, if I have any female, I never introduce any females to my kids unless I know it's serious. That's one. So I try to lead by example now. You know, the examples that I didn't have growing up as a young man, I try to set those examples for my boys and my daughters. My daughters, I try to, you know, I compliment them. I make sure they brothers compliment them, open doors for them. I try to raise my boys to be gentlemen and my daughters to be young ladies. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like going forward, just and being open and honest with them about each of the relationships with their mothers. You know, I keep it real with my kids. What happened with their mothers, I don't just tell my side of it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't try to make them look bad or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I try to kick it with them to where they can learn from my mistakes in these relationships. You know what I'm saying? So I think being open and honest with the kids, letting them know, because for one, I feel like, you know, they only know their mothers as mom. They don't know them as women. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that that's a very good point. Um, you definitely have to be honest with everybody at all times, especially kids, because again, if we the influence and we are what they looking up to, then we definitely have to lead by a strong example and not a selfish example by doing what we want to do. Because a lot of it goes by still what you want to do. Like you could tell a kid don't smoke or drink, and then you smoke and drink right in front of them. But if you're telling them don't smoke and drink, then just don't smoke and drink. Like at least they don't see you doing that, and they know at least dad told me that, and I can respect dad for that because he didn't do it. I never seen dad do it. But if they see you doing it, then it's like, yo, bro, you smoke. You know what I'm saying? You've been here all this time because I mean that's the same thing we've been saying. Hey, if nothing happened to you, you've been drinking all your life. You good. And then when we go get oiled up and you know a situation happens, looking crazy. Like, dang, I mean, I just smacked somebody up or crashed my car or just did something real ignorant, you know, and it just wasn't even necessary. And I think the most important thing as a father that you can produce in a child's life is really that time because everything else is some is some materialistic thing that you can get. And I feel like gifts are like a yeah, I love you, and take this and play. But when you get older, that child realizes, like, you know what, my mom or dad weren't really around. Like, where were they? You know what I'm saying? So that time is very key, to have time with your kids, because when you have the time, you have time to put them in the right direction instead of whatever direction they feel that they're going in. This age right now, everything is on the phone. So kids are on the phone constantly being sucked into everything. So if they being sucked into everything and they not around you, then you know what I'm saying, what happened? They subject to do whatever they want to do and then blame you for not being there later on. You see what I'm saying? So you wouldn't just chop all that down right now and just be there ready at all times. And also, you know, take them to places that benefit their education instead of taking them to a trip like Disney World or something. Take them to, some special monument and break down and tell them, XYZ about the location and XYZ about the times, because they can teach them whatever they want to teach them in school. But if you the father, you teaching them right. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that came from dad. I know my dad didn't lie. I know my dad told me right. Like, you respect whatever that man said if it's the real man. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the biggest issues in our kind of culture really is like, what really is a real man? What is a real man? You know what I'm saying? Like, if everybody talking about they ain't really seen one and all they know is what they've been taught, then what is that really? You see what I'm saying? Everybody just continues the trend of what they was told. My dad was taught by his dad, and his dad was taught by his, like, it all goes. But if we talking black and we following that same line, you can understand people was coming out of slavery. Then when you come out of slavery, you going into civil rights. You can't go into certain bathrooms and drink certain things. So as you growing up in that time period, when you out of it, you so free. You think like, I'm just trying to live my life. So that's pretty much what our parents was doing, just living their life. And we was the age group that was supposed to teach people, like right from wrong and what's going on. But if I'm watching everybody else around me doing whatever they want to do, what direction is there for me really? I'm just subject to doing whatever my peers doing, falling into peer pressures of life. And I remember there's a certain time, Tremaine, when we was out there on the street, man, my man was like, "Man, I get more to you, I get more to you, I get more to you." But how old was we at this time, man? My man was telling me he get more, he get more than me.
You get more
You know what
trim.
I'm saying? Yeah, he get more trim than me, and man, I'm not even in the 7th, 8th grade, man. I'm like, yo, this is what you're thinking about. And so if I'm not in the 7th and 8th grade, you think 7th, 8th grade is what, 12, 13 years old. So as soon as you 11, 12, between 11 and 13, this is what you talking about. You feel me?
Right.
And I come from a situation again where I've been dealing with, sexual things since 5, 6 years old, man. So uh that's a real big thing. I mean, like, what can you do to your kid to prevent them from, making outrageous and crazy decisions? Because if they looking at us and we made them same mistakes or made mistakes, it don't really look too good for a child to see that. So you look contradictory. You look like a lie and a joke, because you got to lead by action. And if your action ain't meeting up with what you talking about, then what you telling me is nothing. I'm finna go learn from my man that's on TikTok showing me XYZ. And anybody can chime in at any time if y'all feel so. You just raise your hand up. Let me know you want to go in. All right, D. Let me mute you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of what you said, man. First, honesty, being honest with your kids. Even though we grow up, parents, I don't gotta tell you nothing. I don't owe you an explanation for nothing. But in reality, if you're honest with your kid, that's half of the battle right there. Being honest with them, first of all, and having that dialogue, open door. Hey, you should be able to come tell me anything, like whatever's going on in your life, come talk to me about it, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? If you're scared of something, come talk to me. Whatever the situations arise, you need to be able to come talk to your dad. If you don't feel like you can talk to your dad, we need to go talk to your mom, but you need to come talk to your parents, period. So whatever, if something going on, we can probably nip it in the bud right now. We can correct it, bada bing, bada boom. And also what you're saying about being an example, that's important too. You know, kids are what they see, especially in this inner city. Kids are what they see. So if they see you walking around, sagging your pants, smoking a joint, kids gonna be like, you know what? That's what I should be doing. I'm doing it. I should be doing it too. So I think as men, we just have to set that visual example as well. You know, if we do what we do what you do, but let's try not to do it around the babies. You know what I'm saying? Wait till the babies are of an age where they can just, you know right from wrong and do things. But if they see it early, they're gonna feel like, you know what, when I get big, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to be like daddy. I want to do what daddy doing.
Yeah, and is that something that you felt? Did you feel that growing up? Did you feel like that was I want to mimic my parents and what they're doing, or did you feel like you want to be better than your parents?
Well, I think for me, it was a little bit of both, but I think I was kind of that one that wanted to be a little better, and it just came natural. Like, you know, I grew up on the east side of Detroit, you know, so I saw the real deal, Holyfield. But I don't know what it was, man. Maybe it was God. It was just God's blessing upon me that he didn't allow me to get too deep into the streets. So I'm just thankful that I didn't. I was a little different than my brothers, my cousins. You know what I mean? I was afraid to go to jail. I was afraid to get caught up. So I think that kind of helped me out, seeing my cousins and family members get in deep stuff, kind of helped me out being a little younger than them. And I was able just to, you know what, I'm gonna go this way instead of going that way. So it was by God's grace, man, that I didn't get caught up in no mess.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else got some? Nate, go ahead. See you raise your hand up a little bit. Let me unmute you. All right, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, as far as the being an example, yeah, I've got to back my man on that 100%. Boys, I think particularly, just the way they're wired, they look to that. They look at that, just physical examples. I remember like doing little ab workouts, and my son was in the same room. He started doing the same thing as me, and that's at 2 years old. You know, they may not remember back then. They usually start memory somewhere between 4.5 to 5. But I remember him trying to emulate me, and that reigns, you know, pretty. I don't know. It reigns pretty steep in my mind when I think about how I conduct myself. Obviously, I can't be perfect though. As far as being an example that way, I would say one of the big keys that I found is setting at least setting them up with something that they can be firm with, like a foundation that is unwavering, something that they know is going to be there for them all the time. Me, I know I'm flawed, so I've got chinks in my armor, and I know being kind of raised around religion and trying to follow suit with that. I tried to set my son up with, hey, like, I may let you down at this point, but God's not going to let you down. And that was important for me to be able, it takes some of the weight off my shoulders and say, hey, you know, I might be flawed in this way, but this is who I'm looking to as my example. And you can look to him too. And he'll be there when I can't be there. Because there's a lot of times when I can't be there for my son. So it's important for me to instill that in him. Yeah, it gives him hope. And I've seen that reverberate off of the way he conducts himself too. You know, and that's about it, really.
That's awesome. So the next thing is, you know, how close are you guys to the child's moms? And what type of relationships do you guys have with the child's moms that, are beneficial to the child and not beneficial to yourself?
Well, let me chime in on that real quick. My situation is a little unique, you know what I'm saying? I don't have no biological kids, but, my wife, we share, daughter. So it's like I'm a stepfather. So it's a little different. So I commend all the brothers that's on here holding it down, you know what I mean? But I think you got to have a strong, you got to have that strong bond, like being whether you're a father, a husband, you got to have that strong bond, and y'all got to communicate. And because like you said, the kids gonna see what they see, they gonna mimic. So you want to, as me being a husband, I want to be able to show my stepdaughter that, hey, this is what a man's supposed to treat his wife like, you know what I mean? And let her know, hey, this is how men supposed to treat women. And so when she get out here, one day she gonna grow up and she gonna see, she gonna get a boyfriend at some point. Hopefully it's long time down the road. But you know what I'm saying? Someday she gonna grow up and get a boyfriend, and you want her to see and understand what a man's supposed to do to a woman, how he's supposed to treat his woman that eventually become his wife. You know what I mean? So, I always try to make sure I do a lot of positive things around her. Do stuff with them. It ain't all about just buying them stuff, but you gotta spend that time with them. You know what I mean? And that's what they don't remember. I can buy them all kind of stuff, toys, clothes, whatever, but that time is what's definitely important, man. So it's just being a husband, a father, man. You gotta definitely be number one. You gotta put your wife first, kids, and then she gonna see that and she gonna understand. And when she grow up, that's what she gonna want from her guy.
That's real big, man, because one thing is true is that you said that that's not your biological child. So from a not being a biological child situation, that means you are outside guy coming in, and now you have to love something that's not yours, but now it's yours. You see what I'm saying? And to see that, and for that
Mhm.
person to have those emotions, like, sometimes you could say something and it'd be like, you ain't my daddy. You see what I'm saying? Like, you ain't my dad. Like, who are you? You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? So the simple fact
yeah.
that you are, sticking it in there and actually being a true role model, is very powerful, and it says a lot. Like, you're not a bum dad or a bum man. You actually putting in work to
Mhm.
actually build a family foundation, to actually put positive energy into the world instead of raising up a daughter who
Mhm.
feels resentful because she ain't got no man in her life. Because let's be honest, like, I feel like a man not being in a
Right.
woman life is like taking a mirror and dropping it from the 16th floor. And when it hit the ground, it shatters and all that stuff goes
Mhm.
everywhere. I feel like that's the direction women be at, because you missing that real core essence. But as the root of it, I said, what is a real man? So if you're not even a real man or displaying that, everything is lost anyway. Like, you gotta stand on something, or you falling for everything.
Mhm.
A lot of people been falling,
Mhm.
trying to grab hold of something on the way down and just can't really get that grip. But at the same time, it take
Mhm.
both people to raise up something. It ain't just a one thing situation. It take everybody. Even if the woman or the mother is not present, it still take the community, the people around you, the people you putting your kids around, your family members. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could leave and drop your kid off somewhere, and then when they getting over there, they could be getting some of everything. Because I was in some of everything. I definitely was in some of
Mhm.
everything. I definitely was running around, definitely doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, but it was getting done. You playing all type of touchy feely games. It was a lot of sexual based stuff, man, that definitely shouldn't have been happening. But nonetheless, it was happening. And when I have a child, I'm definitely not going to allow my kid to be placed in those
Mhm.
type of situations. Go have a tight grip on my kid. I'm a very family oriented person, man. So they shine what you got.
far as relationships with the parental,
Mhm.
uh, they're absolutely nil,
Yeah.
absolutely nil. So we don't speak at all, and we haven't spoken in years. I think I texted her last year. I had some health issues going on, so I was
Oh,
out of work for a little minute. So I already knew when the money stopped, that's when the communication was going to start on our end. But and aside from that, man, it's one of those things where you try to talk to people, but you don't get anything. I'm just in one of those situations to where I'm dealing with someone who there is no negotiating. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no matter what you do, it's going to be a problem. You go left, they ask you to go left, they're going to tell you to go right. So it got to a point, like my daughter's 11. So she's old enough to communicate on her own. But the problem with that is I still miss out on vital information. I miss out on, key things. So you ask a kid a question, they're just going to give you whatever answer they want. And that's really been always one of my goals. And it's like, If you're seeing someone else, that does not bother me at all. As long as they're not abusive to my child, I couldn't care less. But I will say, with taking her out of the equation, it gives more of a pure experience, and it's not as much as you don't have to go through those lapses where you don't talk to your child or see them as often because you have to go through, through their parent who you just can't get along with. So for me, there's nothing there. It keeps peace to an extent, but it creates problems in other areas. So it's just one of those things to where you just really, I only thing I can do is base and establish a relationship with my daughter to one of those things like my mother, she communicated well with me. So that's the only thing I can do to my child is every time that I talk to her is make sure she knows that, hey, you can talk to me anytime, you can call me anytime, you can talk to me about anything. And it doesn't matter, if we're not talking or not. So, I mean, I think that goes a long way because I admire, I believe it was it D'Angelo that said he has a decent relationship, to the point where they can co-parent. And that's a part of it that people don't really, they really overlook, especially when you're dealing with a black father. Because if you're a black father and you have custodial custody of your children, it's typically, you know what I'm saying? That's typically a sign as to the person that you were dealing with, the other parent. Because not most women, even if they're in bad situations, they won't give up the custodial rights to their child. So anybody who does have
Exactly.
that, like, man, that's great. You know what I'm saying? It's great for you. And that's something you should not take for granted because your kids benefit so much from having that relationship. So if you can maintain it, if you can apologize, if you can get to the root, whatever, do it. If you can't, man, you just got to deal with it the best way you can and make sure that you don't take the brunt of the negativity. But if you're doing what's right and you following your heart, man, you don't really have to worry about what other people say about you because the moment they see you, the moment they interact with you, it's like you never skipped a day. So
that's major right there, man.
If you got it,
$1,000 worth of game right there, man.
Well, I just wanted to chime in on that, Sean. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty, brother. I mean, now it's at the point where since he's gotten older, early on, it was a bad. Oh man, it was. Hey, I feel you. It was a battle, brother. But at this point now, where he's 11, I'm married, so it's like, what are you gonna do? Either you want to be involved or not at this point, But yeah, it's definitely been some crazy, some drama. So I don't want to make it seem like it's pretty. I mean, it's good at this point, but yeah, brother, it was. I feel your pain, though, man. I've been there. I've definitely been there.
Why does it seem like
man, that formula is not perfect, and it's just.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying like, yeah, I definitely know it's not pretty, but just to see like the relief as you speak about it, like you just on your face, like, man, it was rough at first, but I'm like, nah, I know you went through hell to get there. And a lot of people don't see that part of our lives to where you think just the bare minimum becomes an accomplishment. And that's the part that people don't really understand. Like you can just pick up the phone and just talk to the other person. Y'all cool? Like I see that and I'm like, man, like I've seen it before, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I sure would still had some hair if I had that relationship, but it just is what it is. You just got to deal with the best you can.
Yeah, man. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Let Devon.
Go ahead, fam.
No, just real quick just to piggyback off of that, man. Like, I think especially for us as black men in the court system, we are the enemy. Like, I literally had to go to court to get 50% custodial and legal custody of my kid, and I had them half the time anyway, and paid child support. And I had them half the time anyway. And I paid for everything when they were with me. And when we went to the hearing, the judge, who was a white woman, made me take a drug test. All right, and she wouldn't sign off on that 50% until it came back clean. So it was another month and we had to go back, and then we were assigned kind of like a mediating lawyer who had to go interview my kid's mom and the kids, and then come and interview me. And when he looked at me, he said, "Man, I don't even know why we're here." I said, "You telling me?" You telling me? But it was because this judge, looked at me, and judged me before I even opened my mouth, and was going by what my kid's mom said, and ordered that test. Ordered, okay, we're not signing off on anything until this comes back clean. Came back clean. The first picture of the result I sent to my kid's mom. I said, "There you go." And then it was just, I just think that we're at an unfair advantage as black fathers, for some type of stereotypical reason that we're not supposed to have our kids half the time. We don't step up and do what we're supposed to do. And that was just, it's just when I hear about this, it's just reassuring to me that there's other dads out there that do what we're supposed to do. I mean, and we don't get, one of my favorite shows is Breaking Bad, and Gustavo Fring says something on the show that I'll never forget. He said, "Your job as a..."
Oh man. he was getting right to the sauce, and hey, he like, yo,
Yeah,
dang man, yeah, he definitely gotta get back to
yeah,
that. Shit.
Yeah, we got to bring that
yeah.
Yeah.
back.
So all of you guys that have full custody or custody over your child, you guys had to go through a pretty tough time in the court system. Is that what I'm understanding here?
Well, what I could let me just chime in real quick. What I did was I jumped first. I jumped out there and went to court first. Now, see, so maybe that's what assisted me a little bit, because I did it first. As soon as I felt like this wasn't gonna work, I was down there quickly. So I beat her to the punch. So it was more so a little bit more in my favor. They were a little more sympathetic or empathetic to me and my situation, opposed to her filing first. And it just seemed like it worked a little bit more in my favor, because the first time I got 50%, custodial, boom. First time we went. But she didn't raise hell about it either, though. She was kind of okay with it, but not okay with it. You see what I'm saying? So it was
Yeah.
yeah, but they sided with me, So, I guess I'm the one good experience with the system, I guess I could say.
Right.
Yeah, because I've tried that. I tried that approach, man, and it didn't go well for me. You know what I'm saying? I reached out to them months in advance, probably about October. I reached out, and I got, like, in February, I got a letter in the mail talking about I was being sued for child support, and I was like, wait a second. I
Wow.
sent out communication in October to be
Wow.
represented because I wasn't getting my rights. My man literally looked at it like, okay, well, you didn't follow the process correctly. I said, man, I called up here. This is what you told me to do. This is why you can see it in the system. They literally
Mm-hmm.
looked at me. My man was like, and it was a brother. He's like, well, we're here now. But I'm like, yo, my man, this is not in
Damn.
my favor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even in how they always just handled me. You know what I'm saying? I showed up to court. I always had all my paperwork. I worked. But it's that situation too with the system where you try and get it in front of it, and they
Mm-hmm.
still give you the shaft. And it was crazy for me
What?
because she was doing all of that. I was in the state of Michigan. She was in a total different state. And I'm
Mm.
just like, it's crazy to me. And then one of the first things you do when they sit down to even talk to you about everything, because you're already overwhelmed, your anxiety is high. And one of the first things they say is, well, a lot of these rules and a lot of these, I won't call them laws, but they're going to be unfair and they won't be in your favor. They tell you that off rip.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
they're going based off of a pre-written, you know what I'm saying, dialect. They don't care about your situation at all. Now it's just kind of like plug and play. Like, oh, well, at the end of the day, she initiated it. Yeah, he initiated it, but, well, hers went through first. So this is what we're going to do. And they don't penalize them the way they penalize us for violating, for inhibiting, you know what I'm saying, for missing a weekend or any of that stuff. So it's cool that, when you can go out there and do that. And then that's sometimes even with a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? Even with a lawyer, they still put you through hell unless you get a decent one. But just
Wow.
going up there and representing on your own, even if you have proof, it's been a rough road.
Wow. Earl, you got to get back in, man. We was
Man.
sitting here waiting on the conclusion, man. You dropped out.
My bad, man. I got a lot going on. I got my kids here, but yeah, it was just a struggle. Like I ended up getting a $600 credit from support because of I don't know if I where I dropped out at, but I had 50% custody and paid, and and I ended up losing my job, so we had to go to the hearing. And he's the mediator's punching in numbers. He's like, wait, when do you get them? And then when do you get them? And how much do you make? And how much do you make? Or you actually have a $600 credit, but the money wasn't what was important to me. So I said, you go ahead and keep that. Use it for the kids. Um, but it was just an example to me of how we might get the short end of the stick.
Mm.
But if we do the right things, if we step up and present ourselves as, you know, obviously we're fit parents, things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. One of my favorite phrases is walk by faith and not by sight. If it might look dire, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and the kids know everything's going to come back around. I mean, hopefully, there's been plenty of cases where it has, and I'm one of my best friends right now is going through it with his son. He's in Denver, and he hasn't seen his son in probably 2 months, and going through lawyers, etc., and things of that nature. And he's nothing but the best of dads to his son, and all he wants is his son. So why is it so hard? And and I think that we all know examples of people that may be in his situation or that were in mine that hopefully when you know do the right things you can persevere and just be a father to your child, like that Ed OG and the Bulldog song, be a father to your child. That still reigns true today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to
Yeah.
ask?
Yeah.
Man, I believe ideally it works out the same, because I don't think any of us here really want to necessarily be bad fathers or be bad examples. It's not that we haven't done the things and haven't taken the steps. There's a lot of good people. Bad things happen to good people all the time. And that's what it boils down to, realistically, even when I was talking about as far as being like a black man in America, is we have to deal with so much just to get the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us here have
Mm-hmm.
had, like for you, if you haven't, that's good, that's great. But the situations where you have to fight just to be a father. You see what I'm saying? Like, why do I have to jump through the hoops? Why do I have to deal with the court system? Why do I have to do all of these other things? But at the end of the day, I'm willing to work with this person to just take care of my child. And that's not a corner that we all deserve to be painted in, because we don't deserve to just be told all the time that, well, we just got to do what's right and then wish for the best. Like, we do that and it don't go in our favor.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize it was that tight. I mean, I don't have kids, but I didn't realize, men get smashed in the courtroom when they actually trying to do the right. I mean, I get it if you slacking on your child support and you wilding and you got 20 jobs and not kicking out no bread. I mean, but for the men that's actually trying to get full custody and really hold their kids down, you mean tell me y'all actually in the courtroom dealing with walls you still got to break down just because of your skin, y'all? That's crazy. That is real
Yeah,
crazy.
man. I mean,
All right,
I
Nate.
think it's crazy. Like I said, I think it's crazy just based on you know, you got these guys that a few bad apples spoil it for everybody. And you look at these situations where the cats be trying to do something with their kids and trying to spend time, and they can't do it, man. And then that ain't even got nothing to do with what some of the moms is telling the court systems and everybody else. So now you looking like a bad dude and you ain't even done nothing. You trying to spend time. And it's like the moment that, the child support ain't as good as some of them want to be. Not all of them, but some of them. And it's the minute the child support slow up or whatever it is for whatever situation, then you looked at as he ain't this, he ain't that. when you trying to do something with the kids and trying to spend time, and you know you got the other half on there like making you look bad. So it's a lot of times a no-win situation, man. You know.
Nate, Nas, I know you had something to say.
Yeah, man. I got two situations on both sides of the spectrum. Cause like with my oldest kids that live with me, I ain't have to go through the courts to get them. You know what I'm saying? Like that goes back to what you said. How is our relationship? You know what I'm saying? Me and all my kids' moms, now we're at a point where we're cordial. You know, we can laugh again. We can, you know, we good. You know what I'm saying? But that only happened like once we stopped. We took the physical part out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like once we stopped having sex with each other, because you know how you go back and forth, and you know what I'm saying. But once we took that out of it, you know what I'm saying, things got better. But how I got my boys is I actually asked her for them. You know what I'm saying? And normally, because I get people all the time, well, what type of mother was she? You know, and things like that. But I was at a point in my life where I was transitioning from the streets, and, you know, I was out in the suburbs, and I had a good, you know, I felt like I could take care of them better than she could. And obviously she did too. But my other kids, I'm dealing with the court as far as child support. So I can identify with what the brothers is saying about how, you know, they talk to you crazy when you go in there. I'm dealing with Oakland County. You know what I'm saying? If anybody know about that 1200 building, you know what I'm saying? They talk to you bad. You know what I'm saying? And even when you, like my man said, even when you doing the right thing, you know, I go in there with my check stubs, and you know, I'm thinking, my man told me, a guy told me, don't go in there with your overtime and all that, because they're gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I wanted to show at the time, I wanted to show that I could take care of my kids, right? So I go in there, nice check. You know what I'm saying? They did try to ban me. You know what I'm saying? Just because, you know, I was making a good living, you know. So yeah, I can identify with what my man was talking about, how they do you, you know.
Ain't that an unfair situation when you a man trying to take care of your kid? Because I mean, so it sounds like so much has been put on a father, like you a deadbeat, you not putting in work for your kids. Like, dang, can I find my baby daddy? Can I find somebody? Like, where are they? But yet, here goes some men right here that's saying, yo, I'm taking care of mine. And when I'm trying to take care of mine and do it the legal right way, when I run into the legal way, I'm getting bashed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not only am I getting bashed, you just said an example of where you was out here actually had a good job. Ain't that what you're supposed to have? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Ain't I supposed to have a better, successful lifestyle so I can raise my kids? And then when I get that, you go strip me down in the courtroom and get more money out of me when I'm already taking care of my kids? Like, where is this extra money going? So you trying to tell me I'm making extra money for my baby mama to have a successful lifestyle so she can go get her a bag? Is that what I'm doing?
Mhm.
Because that's not fair. At least if you taking extra money from me, put that up in some trust fund so my kid could get it when they're 18. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't just rob me like that. That's a shame.
Mhm.
I tell the prosecutor, like, or the judge, tell him, like, you know, I'm a single dad myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not asking for child support. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing this on my own or whatever. And her answer was, well, you know, I commend that, but, you know, we're going to need this from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, wow.
I commend that, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
Vaughn, you got something? Wow, man. Go ahead.
Can you? Okay. All right. So yeah, I had a unique situation. My situation was I had to fight to get the kids back to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I think one of the brothers said, when you go in there first, it does make a difference. I mean, that struggle was very hard because it was a law that if the kids was going out, if the kids had left the state for 6 months, then they become custody of the other state. And I had called it like 3 months, you know, and it's just weird, you know. So the kids, what they did, the judge did was she made the kids, she told the mother, if you don't bring them kids back here, in this state, because if they left without my permission, she had a month to get them kids back here, and then if not, it would be considered kidnapping. It was a crazy thing, but the kids came back on the Massachusetts soil, and what I had to do, it was a fight after then. It was just crazy. But like I said, I thank God that I have the kids. One thing I realized is it made a difference when I did going in and telling them, how much I miss my kids and all this other stuff like that. But I had to explain the situation. But I had to get a lawyer, a high-paid lawyer. I had to get the lawyer, and that lawyer taught me one thing. And what I do for work now, I'm dealing with scenarios like this, But I learned that, because, couples go into court and they be throwing mud at each other, The judge only got a small period of time to make their decision. You know what I mean? A lot of times they start looking at the clock and they done already made their decision. But one thing that was important is you can't be sitting there arguing back and forth. Let that person look like the fool or whatever you say. You know what I mean? Let her be the one that's throwing. And and that's a hard thing to do, especially when your character is being assassinated. You know what I mean? But I learned to do that, and I just learn her shoot herself in the foot, so to speak, and it made a big difference. And now I'm in a situation where I think it was a mental situation where she couldn't even take care of the kids no more, and I just ended up with all four of them. You know what I mean? From her, and it was a blessing. It was first the two older ones, and then the other two came along, and I had them all together. And so I think it does help when you go to court first and beat them to the punch, but it's hard because you are prejudged as a Black man, and it does make a difference when you go to court, definitely first. Sometimes,
Man. Well, big ups to you fathers out there, man, because you guys really are making a difference, and you guys are really holding it down and really showing an example in you guys' household of, leadership. That's an important key term, leadership. A lot of people can speak, but, what am I following? But if I got an example to follow, then, I can follow my father showing me something good. A lot of people mimic things off their dad. But if their dad showing them trash, they're going to be doing trash things. And they're going to have to learn that from some other male. Oh, here go the baby. Look at him. He going live. Baby going live, man. Look at this. Oh, man. Baby live, man. Look at that.
Hey, you see, he got that drip on too, James.
Oh, okay. The eagle drip.
He got that drip. You see, he got it on.
Look at him.
That's crazy.
Yes. 2 days. Wow. So let me ask you guys this. What do you guys feel about the America that we about to go into?
Man, that's a. I mean, I think it's gonna be. Hopefully, we can get a little bit of a change, man. And we need a change, because 4 years of what we dealt with is this. That was just unreal. You know what I mean? And but right now, dealing with everything we going through, especially with the pandemic and everything, man, we gotta push through. If we made it through them 4 years, we damn sure can get through another 4 or something. So if we dealt with that, these next 4 years shouldn't be that bad. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't know who y'all voted for, and I don't want to change, sway nobody's mind or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, what we dealt with my man in there, I can't rock with him. So it shouldn't be that bad. So we I think we can make it through, and just see what he can do. I don't think he's gonna change the world, none of that stuff. But I mean, far as putting us in a better situation, I think he can do that for us.
All right, Vaughn.
Yeah. And I think what we.
Oh, who is
Oh, my bad.
that?
Go ahead.
D, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just to piggyback off what he said, man. It seemed like these last 4 years was like 8 years, But we as a people still, I think we have to hold them accountable. Even though we elected them, they're in office, we still got to hold them accountable. We can't just think that they're going to work wonders. They're going to do things. We have to still be on their heads about change, especially change we want to see. Something I definitely want to see. I want to see our criminal justice system reformed. Like it needs to be a complete overhaul, because if you look at what they're doing to black males in general in so many different areas of our lives, we talking about child support.
Right.
That's a part of the justice system. That needs to be overhauled. Like, it's things that definitely need to be overhauled. But I think we can breathe a sigh of relief, but we still have to hold these people accountable. These elected officials, we got to still hold them accountable.
Yeah, definitely. And the main thing in that is, you know, we got to hold each other accountable, because it's beyond whoever in office. 'Cause it start at your front door. All right. Matter of fact, behind the front door, in the house. So when you lead by example in the house, and you hold each other accountable in the house, and you hold your man accountable, it builds a stronger bond between men. A lot of men are scared to tell your man you love him. You know, I love you. They scared that, like that song. Oh, hold on, man. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? But at the end of the day, I do love you enough to not see you destroy your life and put you in a bad situation. You see what I'm saying? Like, we together, we all we got. So if an example is, I say I want to work out. I want to work out tomorrow. I'm telling all y'all, I want to work out. I want to work out. And tomorrow I'll come and I don't work out. And then y'all see me say, man, did you work out? Say, nah, man, I didn't work out. See, right then it's violation. You say, you know what? Drop down, give me 15 right now then. Why don't you go ahead and get your workout on right now? We all live. I can see you. Everybody can see you. Go ahead and give me them 15 then. Stop wasting time. Like, we got to hold people accountable like that. Like, right then and there, we got to chop into our mans and say, yo, dog, this is not the right way. We got to do it like this. Or even if you failed and we failed, then guess what? We go fail together, but we go take the step forward to make progress, to make things better. You know what I'm saying? If we keep failing, then we go keep failing together. I'm not going to let you fail by yourself. You're not going to let me fail by myself. You see what I'm saying? And it take a real man to come together and say that, man, and really hold true to that and stand on that ground, because it is all in the action. It is all in what you do. A lot of people say a lot of things, but a lot of people don't move too much. They just move their mouth. That's a real action too. Moving your mouth is an action, but actually putting in work speaks for itself. When you put in work, is not there's nothing that can be said when you putting that work in, because it's all shown. You got some? You was raising your hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the scary part of what we're going into this next 4 years is the next 71 days. It's gonna be scary. We don't know what's gonna happen right now, but we got to be prepared for anything and just do what we do. I like the part what you said about accountability between men. It's very important. But these next 71 days, I was listening to some things, and it just really it's scary, because you don't know what's going to happen. The brother that was in the military and all that stuff. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. It's crazy. It's crazy now. You see signs of stuff, and I just think, especially as black men, I was telling my sons, I said, you all gotta be, you got guys that be prepared. You don't know what's going to happen. And just to share a brief story with you guys. So my sons, they wanted this job, and they were told they was working for the Census Bureau. And so these people flew them down from Massachusetts down to Pennsylvania. They had them they flew into Pittsburgh, and they had them in rural Pennsylvania. And what my sons did, the next day, they had like a meeting, and they told them, well, you're not really working for the Census Bureau. What you're doing, you're working for the National Rifle Association. And they had them out in these places, in the rural places, and they was working for the National Rifle. So you know where I'm going with this. They was actually working, and they was knocking on doors, right? And they was telling people they had to vote for, Donald Trump. And these places, they had Confederate flags and all that stuff. So this company had a whole bunch of minority youth that was doing this. They stuck them, they would drop them off in these neighborhoods. And their thing is, it was promised $750 a week, but they had to knock on 1,000 doors. You see what I'm saying? And my sons told me what they got themselves into, and they was telling me, I said, man, you guys might as well come on and fly back home, because your life could be at risk. Some of the people were calling them boys, and all types of stuff. But they're young men, and they just wanted to do what they can do. But I think a couple of brothers got guns pulled on them. It was just an unsafe situation. It wasn't Pittsburgh, it wasn't Philly, but it's like they say in between is Alabama. You know what I mean? So it was crazy. It really was crazy.
And this just happened.
Yeah, this just happened on a couple. It was right before the election. He was out there probably like 2 weeks before the election, and I was happy. I had peace at home. The two they gone and everything, and I'm like, yeah, they finally made a decision to do something, productive for their lives. And I'm thinking the Census Bureau. I said, okay, they got down there, they put them in the Airbnb and all that stuff, and the next day, when they told it to him, you're working for the National Rifle Association, they knocked on one door. They showed me videos. They knocked on one door. This dude said, yeah, you're a good boy. It was crazy, the stuff they went through. So, they want to prove something to me that they can finish a project out. But when I talked to him, I said, man, y'all better go on and come back up here, man, because you put yourself at risk, So it's a lot of stuff going on. It's just crazy, man.
And that's type of stuff that you deal with as a parent as well. Like, who knew? You see what I'm saying? So now my grown kid is going down here for a job.
Yes.
And it's a pump fake job. It's not even a real job. You know what I'm saying? He going down here working for somebody else and for the Rifle Association. Pulling up the doors, getting straps pulled on him. That's crazy.
Yes, it was crazy, man.
Oh no, man, no, we can't be doing. And that's what's going on in America. That's what we're talking about, right? Like that's everyday stuff that going around here. So everybody just looking at a black man thinking that black man is all crime and criminal and all this, man. Look, your son had a legit job, got hired, and went somewhere else and got pump fake. You see what I'm saying? That's not cool, man. We can't roll with stuff like that. That's why I say it got to start within our household. Like we change all that. Like regardless of who in office, we change. We make the change, man. And a lot of people getting excited. I mean, yeah, they probably didn't like Trump. A lot of people don't like to say his name, but at the end of the day, that he is the person who run the country until he's out. I mean, that's just what it is. Like if I don't like my dad, I can't just call him that guy that had me. You see what I'm saying? Like he's my dad, like until he's no longer, and he's still gonna be my dad. You see what I'm saying? So it's just what it is, whether people like it or not. But the reality of it is, I'm not excited about anything until I see legislation change. So you can put whatever you can put 2,000 black people in the office, and if they ain't signing no legislation that's benefiting us, what's going on, then what's the point? Just for a face show? Like I don't need a face show. I don't need you just to be in there just to say that you in there just because you a colored person. Like you a human being. Scrap the color. You a human being in office. You got authority to make legislation. So go ahead and change it up. Otherwise, we can make our own legislation and not do anything. Imagine all the brothers on here came on here every week and we had $100. We put $100 into the pot. Now we got $800 a week that we just putting up in here for a whole year. Now we take that. Now we invest in that same $800 that we put here in week, and we put that into our own business that we got that we just came up with. You see what I'm saying? And it's ours, our stuff. Nobody can tell us nothing. It's ours, and we can choose to do with it what we want to do with it. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I think a lot of people lack on. A lot of people lack. It's that real true togetherness and actually the ability to actually come together and do something in unity is hard. You see what I'm saying? But I don't know what's the hard part about it because y'all here right now in unity. So, I mean, y'all proving whatever I'm saying wrong right there, So once again, I appreciate all of y'all for coming in here, man. This is very exciting for me, man. I'm very honored to have all of y'all in here once again. And Nate, thank you for going out there fighting for our country, which will lead into my next question. Is there a difference in raising a kid in the military? Like you seeing things firsthand and the president has direct control over the military. So like, how does that feel for you? Like, how do you feel about the current climate of where we could be possibly going?
Muted.
Should be good now. Really comes down to like the founding fathers. They started this country on the same preface that you're talking about now, like unity. It's a common cause. It's a common goal, and they knew that together they were strong. And I think that's something that has slipped in America. I don't think it's one side or the other. I really think it's just a greater emphasis on greed and malice, and That's just where humanity has been heading. And because you see it on both sides, I'll be honest with you. And in the military specifically, you realize that I've had probably 3 different commanders in chiefs, and you see ebbs and flows, and we mostly stay the same here and there. But one thing I can say about the military, you meet a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life, a lot of different areas, a lot of backgrounds, and I don't know, to see a group working together for a goal, for a mission, for, to get a jet off the air, to get a room clear, to get a bunker busted, basically. It's a beautiful thing. And then to see the discord in that same effort or in the same mission, really, it breaks your heart. And it's little things. But you said it earlier, and it starts with the heart. It starts with how we conduct ourselves, and how we're really not letting that malice or really hate drive us to our next decision. Because, I'll be honest, I could let the hate for the person working right next to me change how I feel about what I'm trying to do. But the emphasis is, hey, I'm working for a higher purpose. I'm going to be me no matter what. And that's what has kept me in, I guess, military this long. Just try to pass it along to who's ever working there, whether they take to it or they not. I've seen it happen both ways, and I've made good friends and made enemies, but I'm not gonna erode my morals, I guess, in a way, to stoop to that. It's really just a trap. I think it's a trap to think that somebody who thinks differently is the enemy. And I think that's the emphasis that we should be passing on to our kids, male, female, whatever. To think differently is not it's not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, it takes a lot of different ways to think to come up with solutions for problems. And as long as we can keep that in mind and love each other in a way that benefits everyone, then I think we're doing the right thing. Doesn't always work out, but that's the goal. At least in my life, I see that's the goal.
That's why I just think different, man. That's why it's the podcast, man. Like, God, you got to have an open mind. You got
subconscious plug there.
Man, yeah, it was. You can't be what you was raised as. You got to take what you was raised as and then apply what you know currently and combine those two to create the super you. Pretty much anything somebody tell you, you should be taking with a grain of salt and then doing your own research on it to compare things and gain your own knowledge. Because, I can tell you anything and you believe it, and you could be going right down the rabbit hole and now you disappear just because you was listening to what I told you. But you did some research on it. So, you know what, my man was actually, telling me the wrong thing. So I'm going to confront him the next time I see him and say, you know what, this is what it is. And we can share information like that. I mean, that's the whole point. I think that's get lost. A lot of us get scared to share things and share information, man. Earl, that video that you made a real powerful video. Matter of fact, I'm gonna play that video. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna play it for all of us right here. And right when I find a link, because I can do that, and I'm gonna look for it right now. But as I look for it, you just give me a little quick insight on that video while I go find it, and then I'm gonna play it.
So that video is actually 2 years in the making. I'm gonna try to make a long story short, but I was driving some hockey equipment from Pennsylvania to Denver with a friend of mine who's a real creative dude. He's a visionary like me. He's real big into videography. He actually works for a health and wellness company in Vegas now. And we were going through Kansas, and Kansas is pretty much all flat. And we saw some really cool looking trees. And I was just like, man, that would be a dope scene for a hanging.
And he was like, yeah, it would. And, we just didn't think anything of it. So we driving, from Pennsylvania to Colorado. So I just got this melody in my head and I'm like, we gonna make America great again. When were we ever great? And that was it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's a cool idea. So over the course of the next 2 years, we just went back and forth like, yo, we need to do this video. And I'm like, yeah, life got in the way. I'm working, I'm at Amazon with James, I'm coaching football out here, raising my kids, just going through. But I've always had a real passion for music, which came from my father. Talking about emulating fathers, like, we had a piano in my crib growing up. My dad, I had a boom box when I was 6. I was making mixtapes. Like, you will put the blank tape in the one side and the instrumental in the other and hit record and play and rap over at 6 years old, man. I'm like, so it's always been like my therapy music. So, I shot him that little snippet that I just sang to you, and he came back with a beat. At the time, he lived in Philly. So I'm like, yo, I'm shooting out there. We're going to record this. So we recorded the track in 2018. And we always wanted to, shoot the video. And then he came to me probably in early May, saying he was moving to Vegas to work for a health and wellness company. So if we wanted to do this video, we got to do it. So that pretty much just gave me the kick in the butt that I needed. And, we had a legit video shoot. And, the rest is history, man. I was just so thankful that we were able to put it out.
I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
We gonna make America great again. When were we ever great? We gonna make America great again. When were we ever great? Somebody 5 the infirmary, they knocking on my daddy's door. Yeah, they knocking on my daddy's door. Woke him out of slumber, asking them exactly what he know. Edinburgh University, PA, when I set him off. Took him to the station, interrogation, said you're free to go. Cause he fit the description of somebody they ain't even know. Always awestruck, but they sit in the Starbucks. I'm eyeing a frapper, hooked up to the laptop. A tree is the backdrop, 2 niggas and 10 cops. Don't hold your cell phone, cause you might just get shot. So thick is the plot and the UFB in black. It ain't nuts, cause when it sucks, the odds get stacked. So close from Nordstrom, but they still on the rack. Graduated, kick off stage, and you down in your cap. They go to yelling just now. A barbecue in the park. I move too slow, a whole 4 if your skin is too dark. Yes, he will. We gon' make America great again. When we ever. Disrespecting the flag, respect the truth. If I ever saw that nigga, I'll pull out a gun and shoot. Shut up, tell me what kind of example make you sense. Tell me what kind of example. How dare you show understand who was right? How dare you show understand right was players appropriate? Not a right, so players appropriate. Ask with this black ass, follow will be a leader with your legacy. Follow will be a leader with your legacy. Yeah, the people that throw the tears off, that's because you don't belong here. Because you don't belong here. That's all the black Wall Street. That's all the black. Civilian one day, civilian one free, and home of the free. And home Francis got keys, but still keywords slave. What you used to be, you changed it now. It's not cage. Yeah, so you used to be riding the wrong way. We gon' make America great again. When we ever great. We gon' make America great again. When we ever great.
Um, the reason I showed that, man, is because we was talking about the America we going into, man, and I live in Pennsylvania. You live in Pennsylvania. This a Commonwealth state. Devon live in Massachusetts. That's a Commonwealth state. That's different from the other states, man. They got different rules. And on top of that, this is where everything started at. So that imagery that you had on there, talk about make America great again and getting still hung by a noose because people still getting hung. Like, are you kidding me? Like the imagery, like, and even the content, the word content, but the imagery alone, you could be blind and not see none of that and can feel that. You see what I'm saying? Like that was a powerful video, you know what I'm saying? I almost felt like you got hung for real. You know, at the end, man. I don't know how you held your breath or however they edited that, but sheesh, man. As he's going again, you know what I'm saying? Oh man. So now I'm getting into the questions of how much time are we actually spending with our kids when we keep mentioning time? Like, you know, in a 7-day week, 24 hours a day, like how much time are we dedicating to our kids to say, you know what, let me show you and let me build you up to have a better lifestyle than either what I did or add to what daddy is giving you. You see what I'm saying? Because um that's what it's about.
Yeah, my bad. Can you hear me, James?
Yeah.
All right, just real quick. Yeah, man, it was really just a literal and figurative depiction of being a black man in America right now. I mean, and well, from since we came over here on the boats till now. I mean, we get hung in corporate America. We get hung in the court system. We get hung literally. Um, and again, it was just one of those things that came from the smallest idea, and this was 2 years ago. So a lot of the one of the repeating words that I keep hearing is pandering, pandering, pandering. People are pandering because of what's going on right now. But no, this is like, okay, was it pandering during the civil rights movement? Like, okay, so if it was pandering back then, why is it still the same thing now? So just that creative expression just allowed me to give my point of view. Like, I'm not going to be going back and forth with people on Facebook or not or anything like that. This is how I best express myself. I appreciate you showing the video. The number one word as far as feedback that I got back was powerful. So that's really just, I wanted to just spark conversations, really. As you could imagine, some of the feedback was crazy on the internet, but I've had a lot of good conversations. We live in a predominantly white area. I coach football, 7th and 8th grade kids, and there was 2 black kids on the team. The kids saw the video. They're like, Coach, that video was. I'm like, but did you really listen to it? Like, did you hear? And I provided links to every story that was in the video, just to provide an example of, hey, this is how we were treated, how we continue to be treated, and it was just one of those things. So I appreciate you showing it, though, man.
Hey, no problem. I did ask a question, but I'll divert and ask something else. What type of anxieties and depression things that we have that we can try to kind of prevent our kids from going through or having, or do we even suffer from anxiety or depression? Anybody care to speak on anxiety and depression?
Speak on anxiety and depression because it is real. That's one of those things. I dealt with it for about a year and a half personally, and probably within the last 3 weeks to a month. So it took me about a year and a half to get back to not being a shell of myself. And it's more or less not just due to the situation of being with my child, it's just a collective of experiences throughout my life. I was in a position to where I was making 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? Like I was still a mentor on the side, on the outside looking in, everything is great. And a lot of that too is being in a position of leadership. I was overseeing people, my mother's age, her friend's age, or even older. So you go into that, it's already a lot of pressure. And when you're a black man in those positions, showing any kind of sign of empathy at the time can be looked down upon. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I grew up on the south side of Flint. You know what I'm saying? Like
late 80s, early 90s. I saw it when it was popping. I know it was real out here. So to go through that and see that those things, they're really not taken seriously. They don't really pay attention to how you respond based off of the culture or where you're from. And a lot of that plays to our daily traumas because we go to work every single day. Like any other situation or something that you don't want to necessarily do, you can avoid that. But going to work is one of those things that you're bound by that for multiple reasons. So that plays a big part into that. And then it also plays a part into like the PTSD. It's not normal. The way we think and the way we approach situations is not normal. Like every situation we approach, we understand that our lives are on the line. Like it's not normal for that. You know, it's not normal for white people to get pulled over and to already feel like, yo, if this situation doesn't go correctly, it could cost me my life. You know, they're very open with how they express themselves, and I pay your salary and I do this and I do that. So yeah, we definitely have anxieties. We definitely have depression. We definitely have PTSDs. It's just one of those things that culturally we just kind of deal with them. But that's also one of the reasons why we have such a problem within our culture and when we deal with one another. It's not that black on black crime is really a thing. Crime is a matter of proximity. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that it just happens in a black neighborhood, you're just selling it to the masses is what you're doing. But you're dismissing it as a real condition. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to us, we just thugs, we just broke, we just whatever it is. But the moment you have these problems in white neighborhoods, like Lansing, Michigan, for instance, after I moved from Flint, I lived in Lansing up until last year. I worked across the street from a meth clinic, like a meth clinic. It was legal for them to come, and the whole purpose of that was so they did not overdose on the street. So they did not pass infection through XYZ. So if they did get too high, someone could come in. They had medical attention right there. You know what I'm saying? So like people talk about Oregon, I said, man, this stuff has been happening in our backyards forever, but it's not for a demographic that reflects us. That wasn't for crack. You know what I'm saying? Realistically, that's what infested our neighborhood. So these things that are wired in, like the depression, the anxiety, the PTSDs, all that stuff is hardwired. That stuff is the stuff that they want to be there. The biggest threat to dealing with these types of situations is what we're doing now. Because all of us are in different, like I'm down here in Texas now. You know what I'm saying? Like for the most part, been a decent experience. The neighbors are all decent. I've only seen 2 Trump flags in the neighborhood, but my awareness, my senses are heightened to that because it's like, I'm not worried about you two. I'm worried about those of you who feel that way, who don't identify that way. I know to avoid this house. You know what I'm saying? Like for whatever reason, like I just know to avoid that house. But we shouldn't have to carry that type of stuff. And that's just the stuff that we carry with every day. And it does carry over into our personal lives. It carries over to how we're fathers. It carries over to how we're creators. Not to hijack the conversation, but I just really believe I was on another podcast the other day, and that's all I covered was mental health within the Black community. Because I did all of this stuff while successfully running my entity, while successfully still, you know, mentoring, being around kids, doing all this other stuff, and people never really knew. And it got to a point one day to where, poof, you know what I'm saying? And like, thankfully for me, I had the right people around me, you know, and it's important for us to have that because a lot of us before we know about other fathers in our situations or similar situations or less than stellar situations, but we don't get a chance to where we congregate, to where we can really have fellowship and we can really have these open discussions and it can push a narrative for change. Because I'm inspired by hearing stories in Commonwealth states because I understand how differently it works. You know, it's disappointing for me to be from Michigan and see the things that are transpiring. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I was just there. But a lot of that now that I look back on, I'm like, I wasn't crazy. And the stuff that I was feeling, the stuff that I was dealing with pushed me, you know what I'm saying, that led me to get to these points. So no, I don't, but I strongly believe that it exists. And it's definitely going to continue to be looked down upon in our neighborhood. It's never going to be coached. Like when we do it, they always reach out, oh, you went and got therapy. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. But they don't want you to spread that message because typically it's been a stigma culturally, even that if you have to go to a therapist, that you're weak and that you're not strong and et cetera, et cetera. But meanwhile, if you look at this Fortune 500 list, I can almost guarantee you the top execs at all these companies that perform the most all have shrinks.
all have therapists, all have someone to talk to, because it's impossible it's impossible to carry around that type of burden and that type of stress and that type of responsibilities for other people's lives and not to have something, you know what I'm saying? So the people who don't have therapists and who act like or feel like there's nothing wrong, those are people, the ones that are the most dangerous, because they're just rolling. They're just throwing it in that backpack. And then eventually, man, it's going to get to a point to where that burden is just too much to carry. And a lot of cats don't make it to a point to where they can be vocal. You know, I lost a cousin last year, suicide, 23 years old, handsome cat. Like, he had senators write letters to the funeral. And I'm just trying to figure out, I'm like, how'd you meet a senator? Like, where were you to meet a senator? But that's the type of, you know what I'm saying, that's the type of impact. And same thing, he grew up in a 2-parent home. My uncle, he provided for his family. He loved his children. No note, you know, and that's one of the things that I saw. And I'm just like, that's what really kind of woke me up in that situation, is realizing that depression, anxiety, and all these other things that we experience, or that I'm feeling like, yo, I'm really not alone. And even as the eldest male in my family, had I spoken up, like, nothing about that situation I could have changed. But had I spoken up about that, you know what I'm saying, previously, about how I was feeling, maybe, just maybe, it would have been more open for him to feel like he can call someone and he can talk to someone like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're feeling that way. But I definitely believe it's normalized for us, and we're all living in it. We just learned how to deal with it. We're survivalists, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the biggest threat, really, to everything, is no matter what they've thrown in front of us, it can never defeat us. And that's why the black on black crime is a thing. Because culturally, you just want us to identify, you want us to be criminal, you want us to tear down. Situations, discussions like this, the more that they happen, the more power we're going to have.
Oh man, that was strong right there. From the anxieties and depressions that
Preach.
we have, what is it? What is it that keeps us? And Noah, go ahead, D.
I was just telling him to preach. I was saying preach. He was hitting it on the head. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Round of applause for that one. No, but that's serious though. Like, why is it so much trauma in our lives and we scared to talk about that? And then why in the household that you raised in, they always tell you, don't let nothing out this house. You get whatever you see going in here, you keep that in here. So meanwhile, while I'm sitting watching this abuse, I'm not supposed to say nothing about it. So then I act out. Okay. So then when I act out, I'm either behind bars or in the same condition that I'm watching, or, I'm taking myself out of life. You see what I'm saying? Where when that was going on, you could have came to me and said, you know what? Yeah, me and so had an issue. And yeah, I was doing XYZ, but um, let me show you why I was doing XYZ, and let me show you where this come from, and let me show you what to get away from. It's just been happening. And then we hold stuff true to us that we don't express, that we get out, and we damage the world. You see what I'm saying? That's why I got this podcast, man, to have conversations like these. And again, to try to bridge the gap between race and people across the globe, because we all just need to have a conversation and understand each other, because it really ain't no real true beef. It's just a lot of miscommunication of uh, emotions directed in the wrong direction, instead of being placed in the positive direction. Like I say, love and respect go hand in hand. They are one and the same almost, but in the streets they tell you gotta earn respect, but who that want to be disrespected? So respect is already a given. Thing is, I don't know what's your disrespect level or what disrespect to you. So when it happens, you gotta let that know right then and there. And if you hold it and you let all that build up and then you leash it out later, that is a problem. Like, we scared to tell people, hey, chill out right then and there, bro. Like, hey, that was wrong. Let's not do that no more. You know what I'm saying? But in that sense, we go off on them. You MF this, that, one more time, here go the strap, the knife, the blade, the whatever. We about to fight, instead of, hell up. Just don't say that no more. You see what I'm saying? Now you said it again, trying to be tough, and now it's a decision to be made. Now you either go elevate this or you go walk away from it, because the peak of smoke is death. So if everybody got the smoke talk, you gotta be prepared to die for that smoke talk, because you don't know my level. You know what I'm saying? Your level might just be just talking. My level might be coming straight off the hip one time, and that's it. Like, it ain't no more discussion. You see what I'm saying? And my question is, why is it so fast to react rather than listen and say, you know what, I can understand, because you won't want none of this stuff to happen to your kids or your grandma. So why are we doing it to other people? Anybody can jump in on that.
I think where you're going with that, just to answer the question at hand, would be there's a lot of people who are stuck in that truth, their own truth, like that's self-made truth. You know, as far as some of the other questions going on, it comes down to, why is there so much kind of pain? Why is there so much trauma? Why are we facing so much, I don't know, inner anguish? I guess I know some of us, not all of us, and we're all having our own kind of battles within at different levels. I would say, what I've experienced personally is either like you had a good relationship with your father, like you didn't have a good relationship with your father, or you had a relationship with a father who taught you taught you kind of the wrong things, and wasn't a good role model. Because I think, again, as boys, we have a unique way of wiring. There's a unique way that we think, as opposed to females. And if you had a single mother that did a really good job, that's good. But you'd know more than most, that there's certain things that you would feel at times growing up that she just couldn't handle, and she couldn't tell you how to feel or how to deal with those feelings that you were having. It took a man to do that. So that's just to draw emphasis on how important I think everyone here in this group is, and what a good job they're doing. I don't know. Me personally, my situation was, I was raised by adoptive parents. I didn't get along with my dad at all, or my adoptive dad. I just had different ways of thinking. I had a really strong will, and I took it upon myself to look around in my community to find role models that I felt like I could emulate. I felt like I could teach me something. And I don't remember who said it, but earlier in the podcast, they were talking about being available not just to your own children, but to children around the neighborhood. And I think those individuals need to be applauded and need to be raised up by people like us, and be brought out as heroes of the community, because it really takes somebody with a lot of care who can step out and teach boys, and I mean, and women as well, what a good man is supposed to act like, and to really live like. That's probably the genesis of a lot of things that we're facing now, though, is just not being understood. I'd say, is, if you ask a lot of people, men, women, what is the main focal point of your pain? It's not being understood, or not feeling you've been understood or have a voice. But everyone here, and everyone's children here has intrinsic worth. And I think the more you communicate that with them, and communicate within a group like this, the better off we are. It gives us power. Just that alone gives us power. So I encourage meetings like this a lot, because I feel empowered myself to take steps, or to bring about emphasis of this in conversations with my son, or with people around me that ask me, hey, how does it feel like, being around him or not being around him? And it's important. So I'm glad we're doing this.
I appreciate you for being here, man. Montel, you just stepped in here, man. give some insight on what it means to be a dad to you, man.
Yeah, man. To be a real dad first, you really need to know what your purpose is. Because I think a lot of people have the misconception of what a dad is because they bring kids in the world. I tell people anybody can do that. A dog can do that. They still a dog. So that don't make a man. You really need to know your purpose first. Once you know who your purpose is, then you can better assist and raise your kids. I think so oftentimes people think because by gender they're a man that makes them a dad, and it's really not. It's more to it than just bringing kids into the world. You really have to invest your time and spend time with your kids, talk to them. I believe you should teach your kids about spiritual things, financial things, physical things. Like they said, take a village to raise a kid. And so we live in times now to where all we think now is once we have the kids as men, that we've done our job and we can just go on. And that's why you have a lot of single parent homes. The father's not there because the father don't know who he is. And I think once you know who you are, you're able to invest that part or the piece of who you are into that person where you effectively can help raise them. And then I have 2 daughters, man. It's like it's very important. I'm saying daughters, they need their fathers a lot. You have a lot of daughters raised without their father, and they're looking for validation from another man. And then you just got a mess. And then we have the talk where man ain't really real now because we got grandparents or mothers raising our children when we as men should step up to the plate. So it's really about really knowing who you are and also who you keep in your circle, because a lot of men have negative people in their circle and they're giving off negative things or what they've been taught. That's not really what a man is. Your social key. I recommend mentors, people who have a good track record of how to take care of a child, because we get our mentorship, we can be honest, from TV or false reality TV shows, and we make that the logistics of what a man is. And we say, well, such and such said this, but you don't know behind the scene how they really living. Anybody can put on. See, there's a private you and there's a public you. The public you is what you want people to see you as, but who you really are when others are not looking at you is who you really are. How are you when there is no publicity at all? You have a lot of people who are big time famous, people look up to, they this and they that. And later on, you realize they're not really a good dad, though. And we discredit that because they're celebrities. I think it doesn't matter what you accomplish in life as a man. If you have a family and you're not taking care of that, then everything else don't matter. Because at the end of the day, before there was anything, there's family. So it's about the association you have in your circle. You need mentors as well. And you need to be careful of what you let go in your eye gate and your ear gate because it's shaping your life. And the reason why people are so quick to actually defend themselves instead of actually talking it out and understand the person, because if we talk it out or we show somebody respect or we try to be calm, that's somehow soft. And that goes back to who we listening to. Sometimes the most intelligent thing or the smartest thing to do as a man is to talk, especially amongst African Americans as well. We find that we can't even talk. Like soon, like you say, soon as something negative go off, then that person is tolerated. It's the clap, it's the shoot. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just talking about it. And so it's just really about key people in your circle, what you're listening to, what you're watching, and how you were raised.
Mm. Yeah, that pretty much on point, man. he, he came right on in and hit it with the grand slam off the park, man. Like, bases loaded right up out of here. Sean, look like you want to say something.
No, man, I mean, it's simple. I just agree. I mean, it gets to a point right now we're having these conversations, and it is really, is it the flower or is it the soil? That's what it boils down to. And the fact that now we're identifying these situations or these issues, now we can start progressing and working on ways how to knock down these obstacles, how to get around them, really to really knock them out of the way. You want to tear them down. You don't want to go around them because a lot of people, they've gone around them before, but for some reason, it's a problem within the community of relaying that information. And I think a lot of times because individually, we've always had to find that information ourselves. And it's taken a lot, I think, for us to get there. And same thing, though, it boils down to when you have those kind of disagreements or those interactions with other Black men, it's almost like like everything is at stake now. You know what I'm saying? My manhood is at stake. My family's at stake if I don't handle this situation immediately with ultimate aggression. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's destructive. You know what I'm saying? And it boils down to, I don't understand that mentality because, once I grew up around that, it was one of those things I wanted to be away from. You know what I'm saying? I still communicate, I still have people, but I don't spend a lot of time with those people. But it's literally just boils down to that. You're talking about a lot of the issues and the comments that we have really boil down to how each one of us can respond to every situation that we've dealt with. So when you broke that down, like it's perfect though, but it's not us, you know what I'm saying? It's not the flowers. We identify that the soil is tainted, but the flower isn't dead. You know what I'm saying? As long as we can change the environment, then we'll be okay. But I mean, it's gonna take a lot. You know what I'm saying? Leaves are gonna wither a little bit. Your faith is gonna be tested. But this is honestly something that I feel like is worth fighting for and worth being a part of. So in any capacity, if I can do that and it's casting my voice in a positive light, then I'll be a part of that. So if it's webcast, if it's mentorship, if it's coaching, whatever it is, man, I think that's just the point that we all have to get to. Like, because none of us have the answer here. We're all just living and we're trying to figure this out. We can just be the best version of ourselves. And I think, and it goes back to what Montel was saying, I think that's where it starts, man. So I applaud that. I appreciate that.
That's that. Man, so back to being a father in America with these kids in this new age, man. How is it with allowing your kids to be so interactive on these cell phones, man? Like, how is it to have a kid directly in contact with the phone all day long? So what type of programs are set up for the kids to be on the phone versus, go get some education time and let me show you a different route? Because me, well, nobody around me really, man. I was just able to be over my cousin's house and be on the internet on dial up. You know what I'm saying? I was in chat rooms and everywhere, and everything that's going on now was going on then, and at the small scale of it, like a chat room was pretty much like a blog, was pretty much like Facebook, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? And instant messaging, AOL, instant messaging was texting. Email is email. You see what I'm saying? But all those places, you were still accessing different things. Like it could still be porn pictures being sent. It could still be ways of how to create XYZ being sent. All type of information. You know what I'm saying? But now it seems like you can really just talk into a phone, which is still a computer, and say, hey, take me here, show me this, and voila. So what do we do to prevent kids from overusing the internet and overusing technology to having it be useful to them and productive for them where they can actually grow? Because obviously me using it, we're on what I was using. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it didn't put me down a place to where I was extra destructive, but that don't mean I didn't see a lot of things that may have caused me some difficulties throughout my life. You see what I'm saying?
I want to be able to weigh in a little bit. I would say read to your kids. Start right away, read to your kids. That's the first thing. There's a certain emphasis about reading to your kids that really sparks that imagination, I think, and lets them envision what's going on. And that should be, I guess, the genesis of what kind of pictures they make of the world, what kind of I don't know, how they see things in the world as they experience them. That should be the start. You and reading and books and their own imagination. You got to champion that imagination when it's something positive and say, "Hey, proud of you for that. I'm proud of you that you've thought of that on your own." It's pretty. That's pretty simple. And the other thing is show them the dangers. Don't be afraid to show them the dangers of the internet in a responsible way, but I've ridden motorcycles a lot of my life, and I had a Hayabusa at one point, and there was conversation back and forth about people, and I agree with them. The first bike you should start on is a Hayabusa, because that's the bike that has 1300 cc's, that's capable of 190 miles per hour, and that will teach you that what you're riding can be fun, but it can kill you just instant, much more than just riding an R6 or something like that, something smaller. Dipping your toe is fine, but it's not always the most effective way. I think creating a serious emphasis, and it's walking a line of seriousness and also not getting scary but making that emphasis and knowing that, hey, the internet is a big place. It's a lot of people interconnected, and there's good parts, bad parts, as if there would be in any metropolitan city. There's streets you just don't want to go down. And if you have trust, if your child trusts you at that point, and you have that foundation of trust, it's going to be easier for you to make that point and for them to stick to that point and say, my dad, the dad that I trust has told me that this is a dangerous place that I don't want to go. And that'll carry them further than, further in times where you can't be there looking over their shoulder, I think. And that's important for us to emphasize. That's all.
For me, I would say balance. Because just to use you as the example, James, I mean, you were that kid on those chat rooms, and now you've evolved to having your own podcast. So you can use these tools for good as well. To tie into what Nate said, you can read to your kids. You can read an ebook to your kids on the tablet. My girl and I just had a conversation about this today. Our 5-year-old twins, they have progressed to the level where they can now override the kid settings and get to whatever they want. That's how smart they are. So we have to monitor them and be parents, just like, you said, James, you have full access to the internet.
Yeah.
There were times where it'd be 2 a.m. My mom hears that dial up. And she come downstairs like, what are you doing? And I had to hurry up and quick try to get off. But, you want them to keep up with technology because you don't want them to get left behind. Nate, you do want to show them the dangers of it, but you also want to allow them to grow and be creative, but not in replacement of books. I think books are actually, so underrated. Sit down and read to your kids. I mean, one of my favorite movies is The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, where, the one book that everybody coveted, right now that would seem like they were just looking for a book, No, this was like a post-apocalyptic. This was the only book left. So, just progress with the times. Be a good parent. Monitor what the kids are watching, show them the dangers of it, but allow them to progress with it because you never know where they can take it. They could be the next Zuckerberg, and use it as a tool. Like in the age of instant information, where we used to have to go look at an encyclopedia, now they can just Google it. Tell them to Google what an encyclopedia is. What is an encyclopedia? You know what I mean? And actually, what's the Dewey Decimal System? Use the new age technology to teach them what we came up on, and actually take them to a library and show them how to find a book. I mean, there's a lot of different facets of it, but it's a huge, never ending. It seems like infinite thing, this technology. And either I like to call my mom technologically challenged. I try to teach her things, how to use Facebook and things of that nature, and I just laugh because she was a teacher, so it's just like, wow, like, where do you start, where do you end? There is no start or ending. It's just, you got to balance it for your kid. You got to be responsible on what the content that they're watching, and will they still be exposed to things that you don't know about? Yes, but it's our job to differentiate, the things that could potentially harm them from the things that can help them progress and learn. So that's all I had.
I hear everybody talking about, the reading aspect. I've always been a firm believer that leaders are readers, and so if you want your kids to be an example, I think you must first be that example as well too. You also need to ask your kids questions, because in the times we live in there now, you'll be surprised with what kids know. Like, what's your motive? Why do you really want to be on the internet? See, because if you ask questions enough, you'll find out that some of the kids don't even really want to be on there. They're only going to that because they feel that's the only option. But if you ask some of these kids, they'll tell you what they really want to do. So I think it's important to know that. What do your kids really want to do and what they like? And it's important for parents to actually be fully engaged with that. Because when the kids see that you're fully engaged and know that you care, then they'll have the courage to even lead towards that. Some people just follow suit because everybody else is doing it. So they think because the majority is doing it, that it's okay. Because people don't care how much you know until they first know how much you care. But once you show your kids that you really care about what it is that they're passionate about, you'll find more kids gravitating towards that. Yes, reading is important, but I believe that we also stay in the position as a student as well, even as parents like that, because it's part of student of life. Like we're always learning too. It's like we need to progress and learn as well, so we can give them more nuggets. It's not just about weaning them off on certain things. You ask questions, but the more you learn about yourself, the more you can actually implement to them as well, because our kids are a reflection of who we are. You know what I'm saying? Kids tend to do what they see others do, not what you say, but what they see you do. And so, like you said, the computer can be a good thing, but it can be a bad thing. And yes, balance is very important, but asking questions and asking the motive as to why they want to do things is very important too. Because, like I said, people just following the leader and thinking that because the majority of people are doing it, that's okay. When in all actuality, they really want to do something else, but they're too afraid to step away because it seems like it's not popular to go the opposite way. And so, but when they see parents that are really passionate about what it is they're doing, then they're actually step into that thing as well.
What type of things did your parents instill in you, Montel?
Well, growing up in a single parent home, my mother and my grandparents raised. My father was in and out of my life, separated from my mom when I was 4 years old. I didn't reconcile back with my father till about 20 years later, which I've been talking to him now, and our relationship is getting bad built. But the things they instilled into me is, to, whatever you do, do the best at it. Never half step it. Because as a kid, like I would just do enough to get by because I already have the agenda of what I want to do. But they taught me that whatever you do your best because somebody's watching, and you never know who you're inspiring. And so I took that as initiative. And they also taught me to do things with a pure motive and a pure heart, because you can do a good thing with the wrong motive. And I didn't think about that as a kid because I'm like, well, as long as I did that's fine. I didn't know. It's the motive behind it, and the person who's paying attention can feel that motive. You know what I'm saying? You want to be an example. People are watching you even when you're not thinking. So they also taught me, the golden rule, do unto others as you want them to do unto you as well. And, just taught me to have respect for people and to celebrate people. We don't have enough of that as well, too. We live in a time now where we just competing against everybody. We don't celebrate each other because we think somehow by celebrating that takes away from us, but it really don't. It shows that we actually appreciate the person. And I believe you reap what you sow. It's a law of reciprocity. Whatever you sow out is what you're going to get in return. You reap what you sow. And so if somebody in our generation or as a man is doing real good, we'll tell 3 people. But if they do bad, we'll tell 6. In other words, it tends to double for the negative because, ignorance is bliss. People are more apt to hear mess than they are somebody celebrating. And this is our level of thinking. And I believe that every joint supply and that everything that God has put in every person, is for a reason. And so I think we should celebrate that person and really try to encourage that person to actually operate out of what their purpose is, because what they're carrying the world needs. We got too many carbon copies when God has made us original. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's a singer, not everybody's an actor, not everybody's a dancer, but some people are inventors, but that's simply overlooked because it's not as popular as being an athlete or a singer or a dancer. But what they carry can change the world. Like I say to most people that's on here right now, man, what we carrying is the key to changing the world, making the world better. And so they just taught me to have respect for people, celebrate people, encourage people, stay away from things that actually will pull you in a direction that that you shouldn't be going into, and don't go places because the majority is doing it. I like to use this analogy a lot, like just because majority of the people decide to stay in the 3rd grade and only 4 people only decide to go to the next level doesn't mean that the majority is right. You know what I'm saying? I think we go with the majority and we miss the fact that in life that you have to progress. And so it's really about mindset.
That's real good, man. Anybody else got something to add on that? Cool. All right, man. So I'm gonna ask you guys, what type of structure do you guys have set up for your kids, and what type of foundation that you guys have that you want your kids to stand on and be an example of?
See, empowerment, man, was one of the first things. I say my family, like, yeah, I was a single mother, but we lived with my grandparents pretty much the majority of my life up until like my grandfather passed away, like 97. So until then, I've always had positive male role models around me. My mother had uncles, I had brothers, so I had uncles who were relatively young, 19, anywhere from 18 to 19 years my senior. So there were good examples based off of just how they lived. The majority of them were men, and that's what I saw, and that's what was instilled in me. And really, it was just more or less a lot of people talking about knowing who you are, but the main thing was knowing who I wasn't. So they drove that into me to know that I didn't have to be the worst of the situation around me, or the best of the worst of the situation around me. So I didn't just have to focus on being a hustler. I didn't have to just focus on sports and all that. Like, I always had passions for those same things, but they taught me to look deeper. They taught me life skills. My uncle taught me, my uncle and my grandfather, I was doing carpentry in first grade. I remember being 5 or 6 years old, learning how to break down a wall, understanding where studs were, and et cetera, et cetera. So I try and do that with my daughter, is just expose her to many different things, because she could be into anything. And it goes back to what Montel was saying. I ask questions. I talk to her. I want to understand how she feels. Because just because I understand that's what's best for her, if she doesn't understand my motive behind that, or she doesn't understand that she doesn't have a voice when it has something to do with her happiness, I think that goes a long way. Really, it's just taking the humility out of it. Like, I'm not afraid to have all the answers with my daughter. You know what I'm saying? I need to know what she's thinking. I need to know. She told me she wanted to be a YouTuber and a cartoonist. So I'm like, the YouTuber thing, like, the light bulb went off in my head right away. Is like, you're just being conditioned by the culture and by what you see, and that's what you're consuming. The cartoonist thing is still a level of creativity. They're almost like, okay, cool. I didn't knock that, but it's something that I keep in mind. So even right now, it's like, when I started a company, I started one company, and that's for her. She doesn't know that yet, but she will eventually. And it's really just to enable and embrace the creative side of her. So it's really just enabling her and teaching through example. Because the love, we talk about a lot of different things, and I think it's relative, because we're going to give love based off of what we've shown. So that's how we're going to give it. So I believe we're all going to, in the nucleus, or the main, in the beginning of all things, love is there for all of our children when we have these discussions. But the main thing is just empowering her. She has to know that she doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. Surround yourself with people that think like you, and people that care about you. It's, you go deeper into each of those situations, but it's really just kind of give her a broad stroke at life, in a sense, because, like I said, she's 11, and I know I learned a lot about life at 11 years old just by going to school. You know what I'm saying? At that time, I went to Manley Elementary. If anybody's from Flint, or you know anything about Flint, late 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I couldn't walk to school, and if I had, I'm lucky red was my favorite color. If I had blue on or something like that, but that was a life lesson. That's something that taught me young, because I watched a lot of people make those mistakes. So I just talked to her about life, man, and as it's happening in front of me, and as it's happening in front of her. Like, when I called her earlier this year, we were talking. I said, "How do you feel about everything that's going on right now?" And then her response was just like, I'm like, "Yo, so what's up? Like, you connected. Like, you listening to adults and stuff, but it's an awareness." And that's really the main thing, man, for me, is just knowing her awareness. You know what I'm saying? Because she knows where she is in life, or that these situations are going on. Then I can kind of try and plant the seed to help her navigate through those waters, especially by being a Black female who already wants to be a boss. Like, I just enable her to be a boss. And in that way, in every situation, that people got to respect you. You know, because in this capitalist system, like no matter what, it's not about money, but being a boss is being in control of you at all times. So if you can control how you think, you can control how you get money, you control how your art is put out there, how your voice is put out, then you always gonna be a boss. You always gonna be on top. You always got leverage at some point. Even if it don't go your way, you were still heard.
Yeah, that's real good right there, man. I like those values. And also like how you guys are saying you guys are being honest and upfront with your kids. That's very important. And also, one more key thing that you said was that you made an investment early for your child, and then she ain't got no idea. So, you already trying to create generational wealth for your child, you know what I'm saying, and keep that trend going, you know, and that's what we need. We need things like that, to set up things in advance instead of just give me now. Like what I'm gonna have in the future, or what I'm gonna have for my kids when I have some. You see what I'm saying? Like what is being set up? Like we just keep going by the norm. Like we don't jump outside the box and say, you know what, that's been happening too long. Like example I use is they use 400 years of a slave, right? But if you've been getting treated like that for 400 years, why you make it 401? See what I'm saying? Like if you walk into school every day and somebody's slapping you in the face, like, all right, at some point you're gonna keep getting slapped in the face, or you go find another route to walk to school. You know what I'm saying? Or take the bully out. You know what I'm saying? But taking somebody out really ain't the option. But I seem like that's the first option we always handed. Take this person out. Like this person has to be eliminated and shouldn't be here. Instead of again having that conversation, addressing it. Kind of the way it should be addressed. Um, yeah, that's real good, man. Anybody else got anything?
I want to say first, yeah, I think we all from Flint, man. So yeah, you know about Manly too. We from Flint, man. So I know what that's like. It's a different mindset from that city, first and foremost. And if anybody not on here from Flint, you are now. We all family. So. But the structure of my kids, it's always spiritual foundation first. Knowing who you are and what your purpose is, but also I teach them financial literacy because we taught work for money when money's supposed to work for us. I teach them about that. I've also teach them that there's no limits in life. The only limits that you have is that which you allow others to put on you, what you put on yourself. And the way you speak is the way that your life is shaping because words are powerful. I homeschool my kids, and so I let them know also that you're gonna make mistakes, but success is not built on success. Success is built on failure because how will you learn how to be successful if you haven't went through? That it's a learning curve to fall, but you don't stay there. You know what I'm saying? You want to learn from the situation as well too, and I'm teaching them about generational wealth because as a businessman and entrepreneur myself, and as a motivated speaker, I teach them that you want to have something for your children's inheritance. For your children's children, and then you don't want to just work and slave and work the Babylonian system your whole life. I'm not saying the job is bad. I'm just saying it's not your life. I mean, God has something unique for you, and you don't want to be a slave to the system. You want to be able to lower something down to your bloodline, so when your time is up. And I also teach my kids that never measure your success based upon what another man or woman has accomplished, because success is not about doing; it's about becoming. Be present, coming, futuristic. So you got to come into being. And success is about how many people are better because you live. And it shouldn't be measured by just monetary things, because you have a lot of people who have acquired monetary things, but they're not really successful. They may have succeeded. A bank robber can successfully rob a bank. Does that mean he's successful? No, he just succeeded. At some point, he will get caught because the same crooked spirit that he did to get the money is the same spirit that's going to creep up and take him out in the long run. But success is about really creating a platform for others to follow. And it should be measured by how many obstacles you faced and you overcame. You don't want nobody who give you this peachy and this beautiful picture. Oh, I'm successful. I went through a peachy and creamy. They lying. They lying. Every great successful person will let you know that how they made it to the top, they had to struggle and they had to go through some things. So I teach my children that you're going to go through some things, but you want to learn from it. I think Malcolm Ford said it better, that success is not bad if you learn from it. So I'm teaching them spiritual foundation, financial education, who they are as far as their true identity as well, and thinking generational, like you talked about, James, because many people live in the now. right now what they can get, but you're not thinking, what are you going to pass over when your time is up? And I teach them that life is about a journey. Like I teach them that your purpose or whatever capacity that God has given you to be influential to this world, it should be emerged by the journey, not by the destination. And I think if we learn to appreciate the journey along the way, we can appreciate the destination that much more. But sometimes we see the big picture and we want to jump from A to Z and not realizing there's other things in between that. I mean, somebody asks you your ABCs, you don't say A, Z. How I know my ABCs? No. See how stupid that sounds? No. You go A, B. It's a certain type of step you got to take. Same way with life. And so I'm setting them up to really understand what life is and what's really important in life. I mean, I'm not knocking education. Education is good, but I also teach my kids that education is not measured in an institution. Education should be a way of life. Malcolm, Mark Twain, he said it best. He said, "I never let school get in the way of my education." Meaning that education is not just boxed into a building. Education is a continual process. We should always be a student of life, of learning, and let them know that you learning and you may not get things faster than other people doesn't make you less significant. It's just everybody's on a different platform. Stop looking at to the left or the right and look with the greatness that you have on the inside of you and cultivate that. And so that's what it is.
Oh man. Like MLK out here, man. Ain't too much to be said after that, man. Just hitting it right all out the park out here, man. Grand slam walk-offs. Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Anybody got anything else to add? Oh, see, there it is, man. That's it. Yeah, so all right. Now that we here and we raising our well, you guys are raising your kids. I don't have any, but they say um that somewhat I am a influencer. Uh my nieces and nephews tell me that, all the time that, hey man, Uncle James, man, is because of you at XYZ and you gave me a platform to do XYZ or you gave me an example to do XYZ. I'm like, wow, like I get to wonder sometimes when I'm gonna really be with my own kids. So I guess I'm gonna go back a little bit and ask you guys what emotions were going through you when you first found out you was having a kid.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was actually nervous because I'm like, okay, God, sometimes you don't have control of certain things. You in control regardless of what we try to do. And it's like, God, I'm only nervous because in my heart, my desire or what I wanted to be and what I wanted to have before I done that. And it's like it just happened in a time where it's like, God, help me. Like, you got to help me. You got to help me with this one. And then I had a little excitement too as well too because a new life coming to the world and just envisioning like what kind of father I wanted to be. So I had mixed feelings. But the first feeling was I was actually nervous, man, because it was like it wasn't planned at all. We knew we wanted to have it, but it was just wasn't planned. But like it's almost like you could prepare and do whatever you want to, but it's still in God's time. He's still in control. It's like, man, what just happened? Like, so. I mean, it was mixed feelings, but through all that, I learned a lot, and I grew through it, and I learned the importance of what it truly means. To have a new life coming in.
Nate?
I definitely agree with the nervous part. There was a little bit of panic at first, and um, you start to um, look inside yourself and look inside your motives, and kind of, I don't know, for me, it kind of magnified some of my flaws. Like, oh man, like, am I ready? Am I gonna be able to do this? And I think God, he's still working with me on that. To piggyback, there's times where I still feel inadequate about things, but that again, it's not my timing, it's his, and I know he's made me the father of my son for a reason, and that's a hope I can cling to. And that's just, the immediacy of it, though, definitely that's a nervous feeling. And there's a calm before the storm, but that's
The
all
nervous part,
part of the process. It's
that nervous part.
everyone here
What was
knows.
what was making you guys nervous? I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you. I was supposed to have 2 kids, but they got aborted, and one of them paid half for, and I wish I wouldn't have never have, and then the other one I didn't have nothing to do with. So had my kids been here, maybe that give me a different outlook. But I can tell you that first time it happened and it came around here and you young, and I was definitely between 19 and 20, and when that happened, it was like okay, the first thing coming in your head is like, what parent finna say something? Who finna say something? Like, how am I gonna take care of this? I don't want to end up like XYZ. And it's like, oh man, it's just way too early for all this, man. And the first thing you thinking is, all right, let me get rid of this situation. Let this situation just go away. Like, erase it, let it go away. And in hindsight, when you look back at it, you like, like, that's not cool. Like, you can't abort anything or get rid of anything, man. And to this day, it's still kind of getting me sometimes. You feel me? And so, with that being said, those nerves that you get, what do you do with those nerves, and how do you turn those nerves into, standing up as a man and say, you know what, I'm not going to abort you, I'm not going to get rid of you, I'm not going to treat you wrong. I'm actually stand on these two and actually raise you up to actually be something very positive in the world.
I think it goes back to the fact of asking yourself, I mean, was you nervous when you was laying down, doing what you're doing? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, chances are you was fully engaged into that. And so the only reason why I submit that probably was nervous is because either unexpected or thinking it wasn't going to happen in the time that it happened. But my thing also was the fact that, man, I got things I want to do. And when that happened, I don't want that to have to be put on hold to actually attend to something else. And so it can also be like almost a nervousness because you don't want to be a bad example. You want to be a good example, but at the same time, you're nervous of the fact that if you partake of this, you may not accomplish things you want. But it just go back to the balance. Listen, what's more important? I mean, like really taking care of your responsibilities. Because I believe when you take care of your responsibilities as a man, like you'll be appreciated for that. And I think the greatest accomplishment a man can never have, besides knowing who they are in God, is to actually fully raise and take care of their kids and be that example that they need. And when you do that, you've already won. You've already accomplished a lot of great things, even if you haven't touched anything else. Now, your goals, if you do that, you've already been successful as well. So it's really about the nervousness. We can be kind of selfish sometimes, unexpected, wasn't planning it, or, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes we can use the tactic nervous as a tactic or as an excuse to not want to take care of responsibility. Because sometimes we ain't really feeling all like that. It's just to say that because we try to dismiss the fact that we really don't want to deal with the situation now. Because we got in it for the wrong things. Like some people get in it thinking it's going to be this, and then they roll up, and then now it's, I'm going crazy now. Well, I got a life to do. I can't be having no kids right now, and this is not fair to the kid because they're not asked to be here. We made the decision, so I think as a man, you need to step up to the plate and channel that same energy into the fact that it's no longer about you now. It's about the new life that's coming. That's what helped me. I'm like, okay, God, obviously you wanted to happen the time and it happened. So it's not about me now. You know what I'm saying? It's about me being the best father I can be for my kids. And that would help me overcome the big picture. And I'm actually glad, man, that it happened the way that because it made me become a better man, a better father, and maybe take the focus off what's more important. So that's what I love.
For me, the first thought and feeling I had was unprepared, not prepared for what is to come. And I don't think you ever really can be. It doesn't matter how many kids you have, it doesn't matter what you think you know, you're never really totally prepared. But you overcome that as soon as you see your kid's face. I mean, you understand that instinct just kicks in like, okay, it's fight or flight, and I got to do what I got to do to make sure that they, have what they need, at least at the very basics: food, clothing, shelter, but, beyond that, you want them to, be the star quarterback on the football team, and you have so many things that go through your mind, but each and every day is different, and they bring their new challenges, and, it's just the journey. I think it was Montreal who was talking about that earlier. Is just appreciating the journey, and once you can do that, everything else comes easy.
Man, that's 100%, man. And I think it is the fear. Well, I don't think at all. I know it was the fear of being looked at, the fear of not being able to take care of the responsibility, the fear of everything wrong, instead of having the faith that everything was going to work out right. But see, later on down the line, you kind of gain that and you learn that and you use that to the best form of your abilities, because when you're young minded, you're not really trying to hear anything. It always takes that time to grow that development, man. And that's what's very important. And the most important part is to learn from that and to use that to your advantage to actually be more positive into the world instead of using that negative that took you away from that, and to keep that negative going, because it's real easy to keep sliding down that negative path and that negative road. And we don't really talk about that and deal with that too much. We just, you know, just wild out and just let life go. And that ain't really how life should be. It should be just like what we're doing right now, having these kind of conversations, man, to kind of keep everybody grounded and to actually hear some positive feedback and different ways that we can do to help each other, because it is a village and we are responsible for each other, even though sometimes we don't take the responsibility for each other, but we really are. You know what I mean? We really are. We got as what we say and what we are, man. So it was a nice time having you fathers on, man. I really appreciate you guys coming through. I'm gonna go ahead and lead us in prayer, and then we go close this thing out, man. And I'm gonna see you guys the next time on the next one, or just continue to watch. I just think different podcasts, man. I'm trying to come on every week, maybe twice a week. I think the next show I just might come on myself and just go for an hour or two. So again, I appreciate you fathers for coming through. I'm gonna go ahead and lead us in. God, thank you for allowing us to have another day. Thank you for allowing this podcast to come together for brothers to be able to sit here and have a conversation to spread across the world, and also be able to give information that people can use in a positive light as a reflection. I just ask you that you would just bless us with your knowledge and your wisdom. I ask that you would just forgive us for our wrongdoings. I ask that you would just empower and strengthen our minds and strengthen these fathers' kids out here, Lord. I ask that you would just strengthen them and bring them up under your wings and under your knowledge that you just place in them, because we all have our place. And my place is being the light to lead people to you, like you said, God. So I just ask that you would just embrace us all. And the ones who don't know you, I ask that you would just soften their heart. Here in Jesus' name, amen.
Man,
All right,
Amen.
guys.
Appreciate you, James.
I
All right,
appreciate y'all.
next opportunity, my brother.
Yep.
Thank you.
All
Have
right,
it
guys.
again.
All right.